Well, hello and welcome once again to the Rival Challengers League. We're back for Season 4, this time for the finals, Spoo, and we get to ask ourselves the question, are you ready to rival the best?
That's right, but before I ask that question, Reddy, what happened to you? You're all red. Oh my god, what did Star Park do?
Yeah, okay, yeah, this might be like, some radiation burn. From sun, by the way, I just was not smart. I didn't really wear sunscreen until like 2 hours into the experience, and by then, the damage was done. So you're just going to get me looking like a lobster for this weekend. So I hope you're excited for that, and perhaps more excited for our matches that are coming up, Spoo.
That's right, we've got 4 brand new teams today in the final season of the Rival Challengers League, and I'm sure we've got a bracket to talk about there real quick, but just going through this list, as you can tell, there are some faces that we are completely familiar with. That's going to be our 4 kings: Effort Result, Na'Vi, Rival Esports, and Reject. They've held their position strong since Season 2, and now we've got some newcomers in the mix as well. Momotaro, not yet. Gen G Esports and number 23 is going to be joining the fray to try and take their spot here on the Rival Challengers League and compete for a spot in tomorrow's final.
Okay, so you have it, the tail of the tape, and we have it pretty, I think, clearly spelled out who our challengers are and who is going to be rivaling one of our top 4. So just a reminder of how this goes, everyone. The top 4 teams from last month, they automatically make it to this challenge phase. 4 teams are going to have to go through a open bracket, a qualifier to make it to this stage. And if they win their one match here, they make it to the playoffs tomorrow. And that's where they're going to get the bulk of the points to go to the finals, which are really just around the corner.
That's right. This is the final season that we're talking about. This is the last chance that they can get those nice RCL points to qualify for our penultimate final. I say penultimate, the ultimate final happening very soon. Whoa, ready? We've got new scenes. I've got to
sit up, buddy.
my chair real quick. Hold up. Let me just. All right, it's not working.
You need like some textbooks or something to sit on.
Yeah, I'm too short for this. Either way, we've got points on the line here. This is the last time that they can get points, and that doesn't mean that they're out of the race whatsoever, because of the way that we structured the points for this tournament. You'll notice that if you get first or second place in this tournament, it is actually sufficient for you to straight away earn a qualification for that playoff spots, where we've got 8 entire spots for the best of the best teams in East Asia to duke it out.
Yep, so that is what you have to expect, everyone, today. We're just waiting on the teams to get started here as we're ready to move into our very first map. I see that you're properly sitting up now, Spoo, as well. Yeah. Much applause for good posture and a proper skin care. I can't say that for myself, but we're going to be moving in a triple dribble soon enough here between Effort Result and Momotaro 08. Let's get started, folks. It's time to get into draft.
Straight away, we're going to be jumping into triple dribble between Effort Result and Momotaro. And of course, as always, I have to talk about balance changes, because that's what I love to talk about before we start every single show on the first match of the day. We did see substantial nerfs come off across the board for several brawlers. We saw some of them just retain some of their buffs. And more importantly, really, there are now 4 new hypercharges that have joined the fray. Notably, Kit and RT seem to be the talk of the town.
RT was already viable. Why did he need a hypercharge? But okay, cool, do whatever you want. Yes, you pop that hypercharge and a super at the same time, and you basically get like a big ol' amber gadget around you. Dancing flames, except I think they're like made of technology or something. And then Kit is not stunned while in the middle of that super anymore, which is just absolutely crazy, considering it only takes Kit, 4 shots to cycle a super? So you can do that while an enemy is stunned. It's just ridiculous. Right now you can stun cycle like Lou used to be able to a couple years ago.
Yeah, if you jump on an ally as well, it completely changes a lot of the interactions. You get an additional sort of range bounce with the shot, makes it easy to land. I think it's like 4,000 damage a shot if you pair it up. And as you already mentioned, it's so easy to charge that hypercharge anyway. So I do hope we'll get to see some of that today. But for the time being, you know how East Asia is. They're a little bit, I don't want to say the word slow, but let's just say that whenever balance changes happen, they tend to stick to what they're more familiar with. Some of these mechanical brawler synergy in tow, that's what they love to play. That's why we already see Jae Young being picked up by Momotaro. And as a result, they're going to pick up the Bonnie, a very, very stable pickup here. Less seen on triple dribble, but nonetheless very strong thanks to that hypercharge. Always having a little bit of options against tanks when that hypercharge is online. Now they're going to follow up with that Willow, which is the semantic special, and it's the one thrower that you can kind of lead with. Even 2-3 don't have to need a last pick for it because it deals into tanks really well, which is like the main threat that you have to cover here on triple dribble.
Yeah, here on Brawl Ball, you have the potential to score a goal. You have just awesome defensive potential. And then additionally, you're looking at just great damage output overall. Not really the most bursty, like not super fast because that poison does have to tick down, but still some pretty respectable damage right there from Willow. Hypercharge never hurts to have that. That's kind of what I'm expecting from Bonnie because she's not going to be like a defender in the way that El Primo might into this composition, given that it's not Bandit. You'd be playing into Frank, but still she should be getting a hypercharge and a super decently quickly, and that should be giving her a stun as well. So just something to look out for. I'm seeing potential also for Barry to force this forward. Just really, really death ball centric here from Momotaro 08. This would be like a dream composition if you're playing Hot Zone. Now, in terms of, is it going to work on triple dribble? I think Willow should be able to out DPS the Barry. And I think Daryl should be a decent enough answer into Frank. But it's not going to be an easy one. I think this Bonnie is going to get walked all over.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game, I think, for effort result. The one thing that sort of called out to me when I saw those first two picks was the lack of damage on their comp. And Momotaro, they doubled down on that sort of weakness. They picked up the Barry, went in with that additional healing, and then of all the tanks that they could have gone up with, they could have gone with a Primo, they could have gone with a Kenji even if they wanted to. They went for just, I think, the most straightforward answer here, which is the form of that Frank. High HP, very, very good kill potential, and a potential wall break, you know, just to secure that final goal if they need it. So jumping into this first game of the Rival Challengers League, we're back. The challenger is Momotaro on that red team, and every result here on the blue team, now already on the defense.
Okay, Night Pishu's waiting for a moment. Oh, here comes Bonnie up the right side. Wahochi taking down Night Pishu, tries to get in the back lines, but ends up denied. There's a defensive maneuver from Gina Azur. Managed to get that ball away. It's a successful defense for effort result for now, but it's going to get hairy. A stun appearing over the left side. Excellent synergy from Momotaro 08 as a whole. Gets them their first goal.
A swift one at that, kind of predicted there, but Night Pishu, the god of the Darrows, is coming in. A very, very quick roll across the board. Rebuffed there by the Barry at the last second. A good defense there from Momotaro. Frank maintains center control here, but now Wahochi with the hypercharge jumps in, takes out that Frank. Gonna be able to, no, not. Gonna be able to, just gonna fall there to the Barry. Gina Zer and Night Pishu left to cycle. Night Pishu making another offensive attempt, but he has to get through 3 people. Not gonna be able to do it.
Hypercharge popped there at the end for Night Pishu. Didn't really make anything happen. A Hypercharge now looking for 2. Mind controlling the Frank. Not successful. Here comes Wahochi around the right side looking for the pinch in. Gina Azur at the same time trying to move this ball outside of that left back pocket and was able to get it over to Frank. Not really the target that he wanted, I'm pretty sure. And super available for Frank as well. Night Pishu doing his best to disrupt, but he's having so much trouble lining up these rolls onto a valuable target. Oh, what a bank shot there towards the end. Momotaro get 1 on the board.
Incredible bounce shot there from that Barry. Just so much cleaner and nicer than what Night Pishu was trying to do throughout the entire game. And I'm already starting to spy weakness inside that effort result comp. It looks like even if they coordinate so much of their abilities, there's not even enough damage to bring down 1 brawler. The assassination attempts from the Bonnie just not really working out for them. I think they need to find a much more concerted response if they want a shot in this game number 2.
Biggest pain point for effort result in my mind was Daryl having so many struggles lining up those shots. And Night Pishu, he's supposed to be the tank player for this roster. Gonna get right underneath Frank and is successful in getting that kill. It is just a trade, but it is valuable to get closer to that hypercharge. The rest of effort result for the time being, they're still working on getting some of their CC abilities. Gina Azur looking for that goal scoring combo with his super, and Wahochi much of the same as he's working his way towards an eventual super and hypercharge.
Geniuser now with a hypercharge active. Nightbishu with one of his own starts the initiation on the Frank, but just not enough damage. The Berry, way too much healing coming out from there. And that's after result once again back on the defense, and all this damage coming out from the Willow just immediately being healed up. Now Hypercharge Super coming out from the Frank, tears through most of it, but Geniuser wanted to get a stun across the board, forced his team to kill his own teammate there. That was quite an interesting interaction. That's going to create weakness in the position. 2 jumps fly across the board. They get a complete team wipe, but the ball is cleared and secured in the bottom left.
That was such a near miss for Nightbishu. If he'd managed to get the ball there at the end of his roll, that would have been a goal. He could have banked around the left side. He could have walked it right on through Jaeyoung. But here's a hypercharge. What a fumble! You gotta be kidding me! A pass up to Geniuser was meant for Frank. Blocked the goal, and Effort Result won't be able to get this one.
And now, another chance there for Momotaro to respond. A hypercharge there from Wahochi goes out, but Nightbishu, he spies an opportunity for a goal. Unfortunately, intercepted there by the Berry once again. The defense coming out here from Momotaro, just so stalwart, so strong, so stable, so difficult for Effort Result to get anything on the board here.
Hypercharge popped for Nightbishu, looking for one. There, gets it onto Frank on the right side, keeps pushing forward, but he's blocked into the back right corner, taken down by a healing bottle from Jaeyoung. It's 20 seconds left. Anyone's game right now, it's 0-0. And unless there's a goal scored in the next 15 seconds, folks, we are going to overtime. A jump to the backside from Wahochi. He's got a hypercharge and a bit of mind control onto Frank. Eventually, though, take some damage from Daryl on the return out from that mind control. Few seconds left. These walls are coming down. Nightbishu's looking for the angle or for a self-pass. Wahochi continues to pressure in on the right side. He's got a hypercharge if he needs it. They just have to shrug off this final push in from 2 hyperchargers on the right side. That's all Wahochi needed. An opening Nightbishu with a shot to the right to equalize the score here in set 1.
Overcommitment there from Momotaro on the right, committing both the Berry and the Frank on that right-sided position. And with ball control inside Nightbishu, I can't help but feel that's gotta be a fumble for sure. Just one lonesome Jaeyoung to defend against a Daryl in overtime with that ball. I mean, I know Nightbishu's a soccer ball, but guys, you gotta watch the real ball here when it's in his pocket. That's the one you gotta be careful on. Either way, Momotaro have to recover for this number 2, but Nightbishu with a nice quick kill and a goal to follow.
Sometimes to understand the ball, you gotta become the ball. Nightbishu certainly giving his best effort at that, and has seemingly finally paid off. Wow, he's gonna go for it again. That's the double spearheaded push. A super from Jaeyoung over the left side will keep them safe for a little bit longer. What is he doing? No! A disastrous attempt at a goal. Nightbishu's trying to get out of there, but it's too late. That was 2 misplays right there, and that almost hurt to watch.
It hurts me in my meow just looking at that for sure. Wahochi and Nightbishu just dropping the ball twice now. Well, at the very least, Momotaro, they're not interested in maintaining that ball control. Just going to be passing it back into the Effort Result base. They're going to have to rotate this Frank here onto that right side with Nightbishu being low. This could be an opportunity, but the ball passed across sacrificially to Geniuser. Now with the hypercharge, goes in for the control and the goal. No way to stop that. Effort Result, they claw this one back from the brink of defeat.
That one was very peculiar to watch. I feel like we saw Effort Result get off to a start where they were making repeated misplays. Nightbishu was really the one that everything fell upon. Sort of Atlas holding up the globe that was this composition and this strategy. And he wasn't able to execute in game number 1. Here comes game number 2, and it's like everything changed. And then game number 3 was an eye-watering one, because we saw a few misplays come out from both teams, but in the end, Effort Result, they did get their 2-0 in game 3.
I think something that I failed to realize from the Effort Result roster is they're really just playing the objective. Between Bonnie, Daryl, and this Willow pickup, they have so much utility that can really just control where the ball goes. And I think that's kind of where Momotaro kind of, literally dropped the ball. You can't give a team with this much utility full ball control constantly. There were many opportunities that we could have, parked it a little bit closer to the Frank, parked it closer to themselves, and then, utilize that long healing potential, just slowly grind out the Effort Result roster. But nonetheless, that's going to drop game number 1. And I like, how Effort Result, they found the solution to their problems that game.
Well, we need to find a solution to this start from Effort Result, at least if you're Momotaro 08. Crystal Arcade is coming up next for set number 2. Let's look at some of these bans and make sense of them. Now, why is Kit banned here? Oh, I don't know. I guess because his hypercharge is freaking busted. So we've cleared that one out of the way. Double Draco ban as well. So typical. Nerf isn't going to do that much against him. That only leaves a couple more things. That's the Lily and that's the Jaeyong. Jaeyong being such a strong, synergistic mid-brawler here that can enable a whole lot of things. And effort result, getting rid of this Lily, since it would be such a fire last pick and puts a lot of pressure on something that creates pressure itself, except more at long range, not really in close range, and wouldn't be able to deal so well with the Lily.
Well, Charlie was left in the pool and Momotaro gonna snatch it up immediately as their mid selection. Somebody once told me that, you know, in a flat-out matchup now with Charlie and Lumi, Charlie does beat Lumi out in the mid, but that's probably why, as a result, they're gonna be running this Lumi onto that side lane. It's a weird position now. This is like the third nerf in the row that Lumi has received to her gadget. Her gadget just got an additional 1 second cooldown nerf, as well as losing the DPS on that ice rink gadget, the mini ice rink that he has there. So this is sort of Lumi in its weakest state, but from what I hear in the waters, it's still a really good pick, enough that effort result are willing to, you know, risk it and go for the first pick. Momotaro though, now going to be opting to go up for that Kaze, just for that early bush control. Another really good assassin to add to their lineup, and a great pairing with the Charlie there, now that Charlie's out of the mix.
Exactly. You want that Kaze, you better get rid of Charlie because she is quite strong into Kaze. Having that close range CC is a great deterrent for anyone wanting to pick something aggressive, and if you want to enable it yourself, go for it. Mo, guess what? Has a hypercharge. Any other new developments for Mo? I think previously it was off meta, but it wasn't really the worst. I know it earned some bans in our monthly finals last month. That's one of those where it's going to be banned like if you think your enemy is going to go crazy with it based on their scrim data. But the biggest reason that is picked here is that it does have a new hypercharge.
Summarizing a tweet that I read yesterday about Mo is that we're in a really weird state in the game where we've got a brawler like Mo. It's a purple button meta, but it's not like Draco. It's not like you press it and run it down. You press it and the super can extend off your screen. It's a global super. Like you see Crystal Arcade, the left bush to the right bush, that's the range. It can go that far. So I mean, I love to see it. This is kind of why we run third-party tournaments. You don't even have to wait for the monthly finals like on BSC before you can actually see the results of it. We get to see a sneak peek of it here, and I don't even know if it works, to be honest, because the matchups, they're all right. It does need to go into a tank, and yeah, now the mode kind of just looks a bit silly. There's no real good matchup to go into. But I did have a similar sentiment about Momotaro's comp the last game, and I was completely wrong. So happy to see how this Mo fares in this game.
Look, I'm always here for the story. If it's going to be a hypercharge Mo, then look, I'm absolutely locked in. But you know, the lack of matchups, yes, this Juju pops a gadget, gets the shield, of course, provided that you're not sitting inside of that bush, and you should be able to survive a Mo attack. Looking also at Kaze, that should be able to do some like pretty meaningful things in closer range versus it. Let's see how exactly it fares. If nothing else, it should be pretty easy to lane swap with that super.
Well, jumping into this game, 2 gems already up inside the pockets of that Charlie. The Juju used that invisibility to just get a little bit of bush control, but now gonna be chased down by Wahochi. That's gonna be first blood for them, but gem control still fully in the hands of Momotaro, now edging a very slightly 3-1 gem of effort result.
Something to note for this Mo is that if you pop that Mo gadget, you're going to be charging super more quickly, and that in turn charges your hypercharge more quickly. And having that basically shield buff plus a max speed is never a bad thing to have for literally any brawler. So far, it looks to be a pretty annoying lane to fight, given that Kaze has been backed up all the way here on the right side, using all 3 dashes to get in range. Naipishu out with a super, and bang! Taken down. Meanwhile, on the left, Juju has been slowly winning this fight with a long range versus Jinazur. Needs only 1 more shot to get the takedown, but isn't allowed in these bushes. Really smart there from Jinazur on the gadget to keep things back, but Juju has still managed to get a super. That's enough to move back Wahochi and get some control from Momotaro at mid.
Now a pinch now from the right side. The Charlie converged in there with that Kaze driving out Mo from the right as well. Just seems to be pretty far from another super, so to speak. Gonna giving a free lane swap here now onto the Juju. And now Wahoji takes to the skies, tries to clear out the right bush a little bit, but has to retreat immediately. He's just way too low.
Aggressive push in from Naipi Shu. Could be a takedown. Yes, it's enough, but they're all snatched up by Kaze. One more gem would have been a dream come true scenario. Would have been the most evasive brawler with all the gems. Now, only 10 seconds to go. Effort result, need a single kill. Is it going to be on Kaze? Is it going to be on Juju? Well, a Hypercharge has different plans. Gina Zur does get that stun there towards the end, but Kaze is still alive, and that's game 1 for Momotaro.
I love how our open qualifier teams are just so competitive. I just want to point out that Momotaro went into a bracket that had Gen G, Frenzy Gaming, Feasible Gaming, all these, you know, top 8 East Asian teams, and a team that's literally, from my research at the very least, not even on the, they don't even have a Wikipedia article, they're not even on the top 16 in the leaderboard, putting up such a good fight. Really, really, very, very impressive gameplay so far. Now, looking at the lanes though, they've swapped things up. They've decided to put Jin Azur mid and Wahochi on the right lane.
Very curious, but look, if you try the same thing twice and it didn't work the first time, really, what are you doing? You have to engineer some new things if you want to win. But so far, it's not working so well for them. KY, we saw pop the invisibility on the right side. It wound up looking for a kill, got one. Didn't quite get one onto Naipi Shu in turn. Meanwhile, Momotaro have been creating pressure around mid. They've got 5 gems on their gem carrier to just 1 from effort result, but a bit more pressure from Naipi Shu and Wahochi as a team is going to be enough to get them a couple of gems for their troubles. Meanwhile, their left lane has fallen. It's going to be a Gree coming out from Juju, and the rest of the comp stays stable. Even a push in from Mo is not going to do that much. All it does is feed a hypercharge to Kaze.
This is what I was worried about. No real good matchups here. They are trying to find some aggressive movements here on that right lane, opting to lean in a bit more towards team play instead of the matchups. The Charlie Super is going to connect on that mid. That's going to be a free kill onto Naipi Shu. And now, for a result, they're just cornered on the right side, and they're running out of time ready. Now 10 seconds left. No, sorry, 10 gems now to Momotaro, and 13 seconds left on the clock. After result, they're gonna have to make a big push to try and stop this one, but no, Kaze comes in, double kill just by himself. Wahochi, he can't do anything to stop this countdown, and that's gonna be a set for Momotaro.
They nearly got it done in set number 1, but this time they don't get reversed by effort result. They're earning a set for themselves. And you said it, Spoo. These open qualifier teams, they have been so scrappy. This one is much better deserved. I love the ingenuity in terms of the Mo selection, but it did not cut the mustard.
Yeah, it's usually picked up in sort of those same matchups that you would, for example, draft an Anita into, for example. You need that kind of play in the mid-range matchup against sort of a tank, and preferably you want to be going up against a mid that's a little bit more vulnerable, maybe something like a Bo or something like a Gus that doesn't really have too much of a defensive resource to stop that Mo super. Going up against a Charlie, she's literally got a gadget button and the super to protect herself, and the fact that laning against a Charlie would be a bad matchup as well. So, not the greatest of most selections. We didn't even get to see that supposedly broken hypercharge in both games. I don't even think he managed to charge it. So,
no.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. And I don't expect to see it on pit stop, but I do expect to see a different. Okay, it's banned. You know what? It's banned. It's all banned.
Well, cool. I guess we get to see the, you know, picks of yesterday sneak on through, but yes, I think you can quite clearly tell who has that first pick, or can you? It's actually a bit of a mystery. I'm gonna put my money on effort result. There we go, and a Lily first selection. Okay, so not having Charlie is going to hurt Momotaro a little bit into this, but there are plenty of ways to deal with the tank in close range. Not having Cordelius isn't going to be amazing either, but a lot of times we see something like Lu being used here. That's only really late in the draft though.
Structurally, for pit stop, we've seen a trend throughout the past few months and in his BSC as well, it tends to be sort of a 2-tank 1-defense structure, and where Lily excels in a very, very big way is really mainly on the offense, just being able to penetrate that defense. Now though, Momotaro pick up a brawler that has been getting quite literally buffs every single patch, and I assume that's because Adrian just wants to see it outside of Heist. Well, guess what, Adrian? It's broken in Heist already. It's borderline getting to the point where it's better than Chuck, and it's been slipped through the pool, and now Momotaro gonna be picking up another flavor of the month from the previous months. It's gonna be that bull as well. This is starting to look like a really, really scary draft from Momotaro.
Yep, they've got one more brawler than Effort Result as well, and I think that certainly aids it. Effort Result, you mentioned a composition of like a couple of aggro and 1 defense. They've got 1 aggro. Let's see if they follow that paradigm. Well, here comes their defense. Griff is going to be churning out damage. I see it as one of the things that realistically could deal with that Miko, given that it'll be at respectable range. You can get some pretty neat burst damage there with a super too. Not totally going to one-shot a Miko, but you're going to get about as close as it gets. And being able to utilize a hypercharge to pierce through walls should also help with some of the pressure that Bull is going to be applying. Break open some of those walls as well if you really need to. Last selection in from Effort Result. There is your second aggro, everyone. It's going to be this Carl. He should be able to slip right on past the Bull and the Miko. He's not really concerned with the Miko at all. It's really going to befall Lily and I think Griff to deal with that, because Lily could still theoretically put him in the Shadow Realm with a hypercharge if things get a little hairy.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest. Effort Result, they seem to have drafted 3 hybrid sort of brawlers. I would say that none of these are really just dedicated attackers nor defenders. I'd categorize them as all being able to be quite versatile and really kind of just do both those roles. Momotaro though, they've got a structure of this Bonnie plus that Bull. Those 2 are equally, hybrid in nature. They can attack, they can defend, gain a lot of tempo from there. And Miko is just, straight up just the one that's just gonna be running down onto the safe. Occasionally, we might see a kill onto the Carl when the tailspin is down, but looking at Nightpishu, he's taking up that heat ejector at the moment. Let's see if he swaps it up. No, he's gonna be Wahochi playing it, and yeah, he's gonna be picking up that heat ejector. I just assume that's for a little bit more chip damage onto that safe. But I have to say, I'm not convinced by the Effort Result comp.
Not quite. I'm seeing like some matchup potential just on the micro play. Like, I think Lily should be able to beat Bull. Interestingly enough, though she is more of an assassin, she should have a range advantage over him. Looks like he's going to be starting off as a defender, however, trying to surprise Nightpishu. Nightpishu is just a little bit too smart to get caught by that. Swings around wide. It's going to be 83% remaining on the safe and counting down. Jinazor is dropping down the first shield and getting himself in a great position to nearly get a takedown onto Bull, and only 8% away from Momotaro being dropped down to their second shield. Meanwhile, Miko is all it really takes to bring Effort Result safe even further down into more or less a tie on the percentage.
That Bonnie gonna be jumping in, getting to 50%. Jinazor now gonna be shredding up the same amount, 50 to 50 on both teams. But it's Momotaro that have first tempo here. Nightpishu is gonna have to commit that hypercharge just to bring down the Lily. But it's really the Miko that's the problem here. 22% left there. But on the other side, Jinazor is the one putting all the hurt. The final bit of damage just needs to be done. One more pickaxe swing will do the trick. And it's gonna bring down the Momotaro safe. Effort Result, despite having supposedly less damage on their comp, is the one to take game number 1.
I think that was a pretty shrewd lane swap as well there. I believe from Wahochi on Carl there towards the end. Just getting away from that Bull, knowing that he needed to provide some blocking power on the right side for Griff to really do his thing. That was intelligent. That was good team play right there. And also, just looking once more at Effort Result strategy, I think they gave just the right amount of attention to Miko. Not too much, not too little. Here comes on the right side, an attempt at defense from Momotaro. They're going to expend a Bonnie to do it. They don't even get a trade. In fact, they're going to be dropped down past their first shield. But on the home front, Effort Result are down past their first shield as well.
We're gonna have to keep tabs on that top left-hand corner to see how the percentage is gonna go. Miko just doing, oh my god, 5,200 damage just with the damage gear. The brawler is starting to get on my nerves, if I'm gonna be honest here. Now 48% to 75%, that's an additional layer of shielding that Momotaro have. It's got big tempo that they can now afford to let one more brawler come out of the base and join for the attack. Oh, Nightbishop gonna be missing that super. It's gonna hurt them a lot.
That is. At least he does have his hypercharge. He's going to be using it to try and get a takedown on Bull. What? Didn't even get the kill. Thankfully, for Ever Result, they have managed to break through this next shield, but they are behind by an entire tempo. Holy dodges from the Bonnie with the gadget. Ends up getting a trade in what otherwise should have been a total kill. No questions asked about it. And the final shield. Now, Ever Result are down to just 17k HP, and it almost feels like it's over already. This is such a significant advantage for Momotaro. Ever Result are going to give it their all on the safe. They don't have a defender ready to answer that call on the home front. With two brawlers from Momotaro there was simply no chance, and we're headed to a tied up set.
This feels a lot more like how I expected it to go. Momotaro, they just really need to get a solid defense going on, stall out the game as much as possible. It's very similar to when you used to run Chuck on these heist maps. As long as you can, you know, stall the game long enough, Miko is inevitable. It will end the game in heist. And with this sort of atypical defender in the form of this Griff, you see, look at the damage. It's not a consistent way of stopping it. Yes, it managed to get the kill, but that's already 23% done to therefore result safe.
On the Miko conversation, I just find it kind of fitting that one of his voice lines is countdown to chaos, because when you're facing a Miko, it is really a countdown until you lose, unless you can out DPS him or you can properly defend him. But he's still inevitable. You have to answer him on defense. So far, Ever Result have managed to answer that call offensively, given that they have more or less matched the DPS. Wow. That Miko had. That was a great hypercharge in from Bonnie to defend there on the right side, but still, they have brawlers from Ever Result trickling in. On the left side, Jinazur is trying to create some tempo on the left. That's 3 shots from Miko, and look at that. Last shield now for Ever Result on their save.
This almost feels impenetrable here from Momotaro. They've sort of cracked the defensive strategy. Bonnie gonna be even jumping away, creating another threat there on that left side. And with the Miko coming in on the right, the shield there should be enough to stop the Momotaro save from falling in. One more shot will do the trick. 21% left in their own. Momotaro now lead the set 2-1.
Wonderful stuff from Momotaro. They absolutely deserved that, and they played that to perfection. Now, look at some of these stats over here, and you can tell how clearly these roles were defined. Literally not even once did Bull tap that enemy save. He had ample opportunities, but let's get real here. Every shot from Bull is about the same as a single shot from Miko. So who are you going to have throwing themselves at the enemy side when there's still brawlers to defend?
It's tough. I think Ever Result, their best bet there was, you know, because it's 3 hybrids, anyone but the Carl there. Honestly, even Carl with spin could defend the Miko, but it's just not a hard enough counter, so to speak. You know, if you really want to deal with the Miko on this map, you have to commit to something harder, something like a Jackie, for example, to just straight up leave on defense the entire game. Ever Result, they came up with something a bit more dynamic, and I appreciated that. In game number 1, it did work out, but that, to me, was a bit more folly on the part of Momotaro. They just seemed to just not be really clear about the roles in that game number 1, and that's why they lost. Game number 2 and 3, though, just sublime. So clinical in the way that they defended those pushes, and just, you know, I mean, it doesn't take much mechanics to really play a Miko, but he executed his role perfectly as well.
Yeah, all right, I get it. You're not a Miko enjoyer from the mechanical aspect. To be fair, it is a brawler where you sort of run it down at the enemy side, but credit where credit is due, folks. The Miko wins when you can draft around it successfully, and that was quite the draft in the last one. Pretty consistently saw all of the top dogs in Brawl Stars at the moment, or at least on Pit Stop, banned out there. We're moving over to Dueling Beetles for a taste of Hot Zone. and one where some of these new things could sneak in. Seems like much the same so far, and a lot of the cheesy stuff has been eliminated as well. For result, just getting rid of the meta du jour, and same for Momotaro in the regards of kit. But Gray picking up a ban here is going to be quite useful for defending against, something that would be a great 2-3, a Gray combined with any sort of tank. But for result, they're not quite finished yet. They have aggression of their own, and they're still going to be defending against anything that is potentially hyper aggressive with this Amber pickup.
Tough structure to go into here. I've struggled against these two picks myself, and Amber as a sort of when it's left in the pool and if you pick up this Charlie, you pretty much just sort of force Charlie to switch up to that second gadget selection, kind of neutering a big part of its strength. Nonetheless, Momotaro, they're sticking to their guns here. They're gonna go with this Bonnie once again. It's been something that's been working for them so well in the past 2 sets, and just working off that hypercharge and knowing that the matchups are good. And Lily is just another brawler that has just constantly received so much attention, and I think rising in popularity because of its ability to just take an entire matchup on its own. It just feels like Cordelia's 2.0 here.
Need to make extensive use of these bushes too. That's going to be an important pain point for Momotaro to focus on. Last selection, Doug. Just an awful matchup for Lily. Should be pretty fine for the Bonnie and for the Charlie. Bonnie can stun him. Charlie can stick him in the cocoon. Diminishes the value that you'd be able to get from that hot dog of resurrection. But I'm still focused on these matchups for Lily. I think it's going to be pretty bad for her, like into Amber's Dancing Flames. But let's see. No, still down with that gadget that places more oil on the ground. So no emphasis at all on the Dancing Flames, it seems.
Seems like they're just trying to get that early game sorted out. Dancing Flames, a bit more of a defensive option, but I think the way that they're reading it is that, if a Bonnie jumps you or if a Lily jumps you, you're probably not getting that trade anyways. We're not living in an era where Amber does 6,000 damage when he presses that button anymore. So they need to play off this move speed instead, and that's exactly what they've done. So completely securing that mid control and now trying to use Gina Zer's healing capabilities to stay themselves topped up, and now the first hot dog of the game going to be going out. Gina Zer just running it down. He wants to die here. Dies at the exact pinpoint, precise amount of time with a Bonnie jump. That's going to be able to create a reversal of the positions. And Momotaro now back in control.
Well, Hochi was hung out there to dry for a moment. Means that this respawn is going to be staggered. It's a bit more control for a Momotaro. A gadget in from Lily, going to be inhabiting these bushes as well. Looking for something on the Gina Zer. Unsuccessful. Looked for the super. Couldn't get that either. It's a bit messy from Momotaro 08, but they have gotten the advantage over effort results so far.
Yeah, Gina Zer needs to be so careful. He's the cleric of the team. Can't afford to be getting caught there. Now going to be giving the hypercharge super onto Naipishu, who wants to dash into the backline and you make use of that hypercharge, but dies at the picture-perfect timing from this Charlie. He found the perfect opportunity to bring him down and not get that respawn. But Naipishu now with a hypercharge of his own going to be able to answer, and with Vahochi surging back in the mid, they're going to wrestle back control there from Momotaro.
Right lane has been blocked off, sort of, but Bonnie is undeterred. Hypercharge in, that was not what they needed at all. No stuns, no nothing. Even gives a resurrection to Gina Zer, but at least he'll be able to farm some hypercharge and super off of this. Quickly recovers, gets the double kill. Momotaro just need a few more percentage to make this happen. Wahochi doesn't have a super. In fact, he's in the cocoon, and that's going to be a match point for Momotaro. Our challengers, 1 game away from making it to their first finals.
This is what we love to see when a challenger finally rises up to the occasion here in the Rival Challengers League. So far, we've only seen this top seed position been contested by Effort Result and the other open qualifier teams. This is the position that's mostly been swapped out, and that's because of the nature of the format. You get to, if you finish in first seed in the open qualifiers, you get to choose your opponent, and Momotaro, they look like they're about to prove that they chose right.
Effort Result, it's now or never. They have to get some wins here. They have to make this composition work, but it's not made easy for them. Not with the Lily, not with the Bonnie either, who's closing in for the kill. Back in the cannon, Naipishu popped a brief invisibility to get a bit of extra range. And here comes a hot dog and a big play potentially. Resurrection, but that's just more. Hypercharge and super are going the way of Lily. She has the Shadow Realm attached to her super now, as long as she pops that hyper. And they're going to have to make this work because they're behind by nearly 60%.
Big hypercharge coming out there from the Lily to take out Ginazer, the cleric of the team. Now Wahochi eats a big jump, but Bonnie had no HP to back it up. That's going to leave an awkward Amber in the backline, and Ginazer just waiting for Naipishu to come back into the fray before making this offensive. But Charlie there with a hypercharge of his own and Lily to back things up. All of a sudden, it's a team wipe there. Momotaro clean house.
They're only 40% behind effort result right now, and it's going to be tough to keep that lead into this hypercharge from Kaze. She pushes in from the right, and a missed super from Lily. Still finds her way into the bushes. A stun out from Bonnie. Gets two. Naipishu on the right, the last one alive, and he's down to basically no HP at all. Totally estranged from his team, threatening getting staggered if one more shot from Bonnie hits. And it could be one from Charlie as well on the left side. Momotaro now equalizing the percentage. They get the takedown they needed. Everything staggered. It's 2 versus 3. Momotaro just inches from victory.
But a hypercharge there from Wahochi. The last stand here being made there by effort result. A jump there coming out from the Bonnie. It's going to be able to push back one. Now Lily respawning against Jean Azur on that Doug. Looks like effort result after an entire marathon of this game number 2. They managed to claw this game back and still put themselves running for finals.
It's going to be a close one, folks. We are getting our money's worth in this matchup. It is down to, you could call it set point, but this match point has been extended a little bit longer than it feels like effort result really deserved, because that win that they got there was just by a margin of maybe 5% there towards the end. You saw for like quite some time, Kaze was deep in enemy territory, and she got staggered on the respawn. It was well earned by Momotaro. Really biggest difference there in game number 2 is that effort result got such a ridiculous lead in the mid game by somewhere around 50%, and Momotaro still made it close. So keep an eye out for this hypercharge in from Bonnie. No stun there, still got the kill, still has some pressure versus Naipishu on the left.
Yeah, once again, almost getting that 50%, just shy of it there, 1% off, 49% lead for them. But Momotaro, this is a much faster mid game that they're playing as well. Lily hypercharge gonna be coming out to lead Naipishu, and now it's just Ginazer and Wahochi left all to their lonesome without that entry fragger in the form of this Kaze going into the mid. It's hard to penetrate. Wahochi steps up to the point though. A nice super there, getting the burn onto the Charlie, hides inside the cocoon. A team fight breaks out. The heals flies out onto Naipishu, respawns from the hot dog, and then the Charlie super to interrupt that hypercharge super from Naipishu. Now trapped, nowhere to go. Amber left to rot in the bank. Momotaro take the lead.
They've only got 25% to go, and that puts them in the finals. They have to hunker down on this mid. Naipishu pops the hypercharge. That was a trade in the back left. Here comes in Bonnie for the stun. Cocoon on the right, and the percentage is counting up to 100. Momotaro, one of the selected few to contest this spot. They're going on to the finals tomorrow.
Congratulations to Momotaro, one step closer now to securing a spot for them in that playoffs just next month, and knocking out effort result here. Just incredible draft-wise all across the board. This one in particular, looking at the stats, I think you can tell just based on the number of kills and deaths that really Momotaro, they grinded this game out. They really pushed every single bit of CC, a bit of abilities that they had across the board to really cover for each other. And the zone percentage on that Charlie, 153%, just showing how long this Charlie stayed alive on that point.
And also, just to give a bit of credit to what effort result have out here, I really do love this dynamic that we frequently see from the Doug synergy. Have something that goes in, soaks up damage, and is easily able to use mobility to retreat into the Doug, let him heal you up, let him get his hypercharge, and then wreck house. The problem was that we so frequently saw the entire team split up, like Amber being left alone on offense, stuff like that, that it wound up falling flat in the end. And Momotaro 08 are your victors in our first match, and they're going to be going on to the finals tomorrow. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, looking at this match recap, just beautiful match recap, by the way. Right,
Wow, thank you. My
I think it was
hard
a
work over last month.
it was a close one nonetheless. 2-1. Set number 1 in that triple dribble set. Set number 2, it was a complete sweep there by Momotaro. I think they had much better comp there. But sets 3 and 4, it looked like Effort Result. They had found a way to break back into that set. They found sort of a winning formula that was working out. And Momotaro, they really stepped up like a top tier team. They found the adaptation they needed. They identified a problem in their comp, and as you mentioned, in that last game, it was about formations and positions, getting that Charlie in the center of all that, making sure that they don't allow the synergistic comp of Effort Result to really flourish was the key to breaking them.
Well, let's put a little bow on that one. It's all wrapped up. That is our first match of the day, and it's time for our second one. It's Na'Vi versus Not Yet. Na'Vi, you should know him. Not Yet, you should not be familiar with them yet.
Not
but
yet,
don't
at
worry.
least.
Yeah, not yet at least. And folks, we're going to be doing this for the next 45 minutes, so feel free to mute us. But keep the microphones on for this draft because we're coming in hot. We're starting things off on Sneaky Fields.
Man, I love East Asia. They start games so quickly.
Yes.
That was. I just find that's really incredible, and obviously huge thanks to our staff in the back end who's helping us make sure that the show runs smoothly. Today's been great so far, and looking forward to more of that. Now let's do a quick recap. The RCL champion from last month was Na'Vi, and this sort of Na'Vi has changed, I think, in a big part due to the fact that they added a coach to their roster. Ever since I've seen Alchemical X step up to draft for Na'Vi, the drafts have just become so stable and so consistent. So I'm expecting to see a similar dynamic. Now, not yet though. They've got some of the players that you would be familiar from a roster last month. I believe some of these players did play. It's just that there's been one player that swapped out and they changed their team names to make our life a little bit more difficult to track.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, really appreciate that. Look, in terms of the names of the players also, folks, anything that's in Japanese or Korean, I'm completely out of luck. Whoever this is from Not Yet, we can familiarize ourselves with the players. Like Minzun Creo, you should know, but D274, that's like the name of a droid from Star Wars, okay? I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but that's going to be your name for today. Or whatever brawler you end up picking. Whatever Not Yet decides is an adequate matchup into this Draco from Na'Vi.
Fun fact, D274 is a piano apparently, and I'll be going back to regularly scheduled programming. Yeah, it's a model of a Steinway & Sons piano. Anyways,
that's Na'Vi, a really nice piano.
It's a really nice piano at least. Na'Vi though, let's look at their comp real quick. Now, they've been allowed to lead up with this Charlie as the mid selection, and then two of the biggest monsters of this patch, I'm predicting Draco, despite the repeated nerfs, I think it's still very much at large, and Cordelia's got a ginormous damage buff. Now his thresholds can extend all the way up to the point where this brawler can single-handedly take down a Frank if he's using combo shrooms. Now these are really three scary brawlers of the patch, and Not Yet though, they've leaned back on, I think, something a bit more old school, and I really like the Shade pickup because we didn't really get to see much of that hypercharge flourish in the last few months of play. Was either mostly banned or counter picked. So I think Not Yet, they actually managed to find one of the best picks here. I'm just not too sure whether they'll survive long enough for that hypercharge to be viable.
All your questions answered and more as we get things started on Sneaky Fields. Folks, it is a challenger in Not Yet taking on last season's champions of Na'Vi on Sneaky Fields in just a moment here. Looks like it's taking us some time to get into the match. Didn't mean to hype it up for us to not get anything going. So it looks like we're going to have a bit of issues getting to the game, but do not despair, folks. We'll be getting to game soon enough.
Thinking about this draft just a little bit longer, Usually when these delays happen, there's two reasons for it. And here we go. Now we got a game on the way. Ball control seems to have swung onto the side of the not yet side. It almost looked like a goal scoring opportunity. And looking at 3 supers coming out online. Ryohei pops the first one. He's got a hypercharge as well if he wants to activate it. Gonna be saving it here. Gets a trade onto Creo and wrestles the ball control and the mid back to Na'Vi.
Na'Vi have control. They're exactly where they want to be. Oh, intelligent there from Kuru, but he's only delayed the inevitable. It's going to be the long shot onto Ryohei, who's now on top of his dragon, looking for the optimal matchup. On the right side, seems to be perfectly content. Pass up to the left side, and a total opening. Minzun doesn't have the damage to make it work. Excellent synergy from Na'Vi. They put Ashe in the Cordelia super on the left side. He was Shadow Realmed. Open the way for Ryohei to run this one down. He's going to do it again. Hypercharge out. Minzun trying not to get pinched on the left side. Instead, basically rolls out a red carpet for Ryohei to walk this one up mid.
Just so clean from the side of Na'Vi, I've got to say. Ryohei as a tank player, spotting the fact that the Jaeyoung did not have gadget, calculating the fact that this Ashe was at no rage, and he's like, guys, I'm full HP, give me the ball, walk it in. And he's like, yeah. And then he just shrugs it up. He's like, and guess what, guys? I still have hypercharge. That's a free goal as well. Hee hee. And game's over.
Just making the most out of those abilities that he had were absolutely crucial. A pass up the middle to Creo could have worked some wonders there. But Achapi seems to always be ready to answer with a mushroom to put him down in the Shadow Realm. Minzun getting body blocked by Shade right now. Whether it was intentional or not, it kept them alive, and it allowed them to intercept this attempted goal from Ryohei, which would have otherwise gone in.
Yeah, now Creo's the one that's starting to look like the tank player of the season. Now gonna be trying to go for a walk-in, and that's giving Ryohei a taste of his own medicine. Yeah, Ryohei, what are you gonna do about that? You don't have that first gadget to stop me, and now the Shade Hypercharge comes online. The target is onto Ryohei, but Slaps kind of not connecting here. That's gonna allow Ryohei to make a turnaround play of his own, almost getting a triple kill there if he had that gadget online. But a complete fumble there from the Shade, I have to say. And now Achapi, that's an interaction that I've not seen in a while.
Yeah, a bit overestimated how far that jump was going to take him, unfortunately. Led that ball to the clutches of not yet, at least for now. Na'Vi are still continuing this pressure in. My goodness, that star power from Draco is crazy. And no, Shade, you may not dash in and intercept the pass this time. Cruz is not going to let the ball slip through his fingers there. It gets a goal to equalize things for Na'Vi.
This is going to be a really close game between these two teams. I can already feel it. And now, kicking things off, though. Cocooned up in the mid, and Ryohei with a hypercharge Shade. He tries to fly all the way back to stop it, but you can't stop the touchdown. Ryohei just walks it in, shoves the ball right up that goal. Now 1-0 in sets.
Looking at these stats, you can see exactly what unfolded before your very eyes. In fact, you could just look at these pretty little boxes with the pictures of brawlers and get a pretty good idea of how this one played out. Ryohei pretty much ran at them. There were even moments where, or at least one significant moment, where Shade decided to hypercharge forward and was still shaken off and defeated by Draco. Draco's hypercharge was instrumental here. There was a goal that was pretty much off the back of the Draco star power that allowed him to heal whenever he used his super. Just a wonderful draft from Na'Vi. They knew exactly what they were going for. And I think the thing that impressed me more than anything else for Na'Vi was just the synergy that they had. I believe the first goal that they got for this set was off of Achapi putting Ashe in the Shadow Realm, which paved the way for a goal from them.
And just bear in mind that this is a nerfed Draco that we're talking about. And I think we saw quite a lot of Draco banned in the previous match. Now we see why. Now we see why Not Yet should have really looked out for it. And, you know, if they wanted to pick up a tank selection, because they had 2-3, by the way, and they opted to go for 2-3 with an Ashe, leaving this fire-breathing demon in the mid and allowing Ryohei to get one of his best brawlers on the board. Gotta say, yeah, great call on that star power as well. That's an interaction that really takes quite a lot of game sense to pull off.
Yeah, it's the one that you're going to run, right? Because unless you're on Heist, you're not going to be marking enemies for additional damage. But it's just another aspect of Draco's typical kit that makes him that much stronger. It really spells it out for you why he is so high priority here. Na'Vi have prioritized the ban of Draco. Draco notoriously counters Hank. Even before Draco had a hypercharge, it was an amazing way to deal with Hank. So it's going to enable this first selection for Na'Vi. And I'm seeing potential, really, for Na'Vi to get some irritating stuff here. Like, they could also pick up a Gray later on if they want to get that Hank in a position more easily. And this is going to be played responsively into the 2-3 from Not Yet.
Bird is the name of the game. It is back. I have been grinding lots of ranked points with this brawler. I have been told that this brawler is secretly S tier in the patch, and there has been no changes to it in this patch at least. But the previous patch, he got a really sizable HP buff. And before that, it was just a lot of quality of life changes to the Brawler's kit in general. But basically, Crow is now reaching a point where for some reason, he's got almost as much health as a mid-range Brawler, but the range of, you know, some of the longest range Brawlers in the game. It's basically a really, really difficult Brawler to remove, and it's a very safe mid-selection of choice, very versatile. I love to see it. And now Not Yet. Their answer to the Hank is, we're gonna blow up the whole map with, you know, bombs of piggy banks and stuff, and then make our Crow really good. Could lean into a B last pick if they want to, but yeah, Na'Vi gonna be, prophylactically. They're already gonna be getting up a long-range brawler of their own.
I was thinking maybe they could go a B last. Like, it's such a perfect pairing for Griff in any form of wall break, and allowing themselves the versatility of going for this last is wonderful. I think Crow also works like pretty solidly. But yeah, you break open one of those lanes and Crow should be able to work there as well. It's funny to see point out that yes, he does have quite a lot of HP now. Welcome to modern Brawl Stars, where the long range, like slow control play that Crow's offered for years is really just not welcome anymore. And a space needs to be carved out for this legendary brawler to have a home in the modern meta. Let's comment on this final selection from Na'Vi. They've decided to go for the Bonnie. This is amazing aggression. Should be a solid lane, especially in the face of some wall break. Not going to be easy for them to get the lane swap off the beginning. Now, Not Yet pull out that Tara last pick. A lot of times, a draft is tailored to specifically make an excellent Tara game. When I take a look at this, I don't necessarily see that, but what I do know is that Na'Vi don't have the ability to break open any of these bushes or walls by themselves, which is a huge asset for Tara to utilize.
That's right. Help from beyond could be annoying as well. If I'm gonna be honest here, I'll be looking out for what gadget this Crow elects to run. If he runs the slow, I'm gonna be really disappointed because it's not good anymore, guys. Just use the shield in most scenarios, especially in a matchup like this. You take the shield, you take the other star power, take the shield gear, and you're practically unkillable in most cases. And now Tara is gonna lose her lane.
Womp womp. Yes, you sort of roll the dice when it comes to your initial matchup as Tara. What Not Yet do have in their back pocket is a much easier lane swap. But as long as Ryohei decides to stay on this side, it's going to be kind of tough for Tara to move in. But you can tell by her movement that she did have that gadget ready. Going to be moving in close versus Ryohei, trying to step back, gets a couple shots off, and got close to that super, but Ryohei still wins the lane. Meanwhile, on the right, Creo's just doing the thing. You're supposed to win against this Hank in an open area, but still, into the pinch from Kuru, he had no chance.
This both side lane's not going well for the side of Not Yet. Na'Vi displaying both a superior draft as well as a superior understanding of how the map movements are supposed to go. Ryohei getting a nice pinch there on that Tara as well. The Chappie's running this Griff all the way into the base, and now even getting that super just to connect with Minzan on the right. Another last shot there goes onto Ryohei. Ryohei is going to pop his hypercharge just to diffuse the gravity, and now Kuru is safe and home alone.
10 gems to his name and just a few seconds left to stay alive. A hypercharge from Creo is respectable, but that's really all that it is. It didn't get them any closer to victory. It's still going to be a win for Na'Vi.
the skill gap between these teams is massive, I've gotta say. Like, Not Yet just seem to be playing on like a mental delay of sorts. Every single move that Na'Vi is made is handled like almost a second a little bit too slow, and Not Yet are like, they're like, you know, computing on like an Intel i1 or something, or the older graphics processors of late. And okay, this time we're seeing a little bit more of a straightforward strategy at the very least. They gotta upgrade to their processor there. The plan is to just get lucky, put Creo on a choppy once, and pray the Bonnie doesn't kill your Crow.
And
he's dead.
Yeah, the prayers were not answered today, unfortunately. You know, just have some faith, folks. Eventually it'll work. Creo actually managed to diff that close range matchup versus Bonnie, who seemed to get a little big for her britches, jumping on barely any HP at all. It's going to create a void and control that allows her to get a little bit closer. But one more shot from either Kuru or Ryohi would send him to an early grave. Did manage to heal up a little bit there. Could be looking for value onto Ryohi. No! Taken down by the Cookie Popper from Kuru, actually. And Na'Vi have such a serious advantage that it's looking a little hopeless for them at the moment.
A little too late. Na'Vi was asked the question, have they won yet? They replied, not yet. Thanks, chat. That was funny. I thought that was funny. Haha. Anyways, now 9 gems now to Na'Vi. There is some sense of mid control coming out there from Not Yet. Nope, not happening. But there'll be a 1 kill there on that left side. Creo though with the hypercharge. Not gonna connect at all. This isn't the Oni hunt. Well, womp womp. That's gonna be 2 sets going the way of Na'Vi unless a miracle play can come up from this gravity. And I don't see it happening. Ryohi can miss though. The Crow goes to the backline. Okay, got excited there. But yeah, that's not an Oni. It's not gonna do any damage.
I feel like the last 15 seconds were just like, okay, and the inevitable is about to happen. Oh, cool. Crow, press the purple button. Yeah, it's still not going to do anything. It's like you've seen this a billion times before, Spoo. Na'Vi need to start bleeding or something. Not Yet got to step up their game. It's tough versus an opponent like Na'Vi. They literally won the last Rival Monthly final in Season 3. They had their eyes set on that prize once again in Season 4, and what can you really say? They looked unstoppable here. The Tara also just did not do what Not Yet needed. In fact, this comp just didn't seem to work at all. Like, there was sort of a collection of ideas, and there was never really a composition.
I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be real brutal about this. I hope you don't hate me, but Na'Vi's comp is like pretty much what you'd expect out of a top tier team, and Not Yet is my Power League matches.
Wow.
When I first picked Crow, and I'm like, guys, I first picked Crow. Pick things that make sense with me. All right, Griff kind of makes sense, and then I see the last pick, and I want to take up my screen and swipe down and dodge the game.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty rough. The Tara last pick was just not what they needed. Well,
yeah, it made no sense.
Well, Spoo will spell it out for you. Thankfully, Not Yet are not going to be troubled with the ability to select a brawler last. They're going to be leading with the Amber here. And I feel like a logical response to this from Na'Vi would just be to go ahead and pick up the Crow.
Oh yeah, I mean, now that that bird is back in the mix, it's one of the few ways it can sort of wrestle that mid control immediately out. I like the bans though coming out from both teams here, but I've got to say they've left the monkey in the pool, and Na'Vi, they're gonna have to either cover that angle or snatch it up 2-3 here, and it is completely viable. They're gonna pick up the Lumi first. That's another big threat, at least for that right lane mid control. But Lumi, honestly, I think at this point it's sort of a weakness, because now, without the DPS on that gadget, scouting inside the mid isn't going to be as consistent. You're going to have pretty good mechanics to dodge up on that left side and take control. And yeah, they're going to ignore the Miko completely, actually. Opt to cover the angle just with raw damage.
Can't really hate that. Just damage at range, damage on top of the safe as well. The burn is going to be pretty crucial for getting some additional damage on that safe without having to put yourself at any further risk. Now, there is often a play here with Carl to actually swap the gadget and instead go for that immediate mid control, flying hook into mid. I feel like Na'Vi don't really need to do that, but they're going to go for it anyway. That's a flying hook now swapped onto by Kuru. Meanwhile, not yet. They have a different plan for occupying mid. They have Lily, who's going to be able to vanish. She is just so good in these bushes. And they have pretty much the brawler that dictates whether these bushes get to exist or not in Amber. She's the most effective in destroying those bushes with the use of her super. That's not to say that Na'Vi don't have counterplay, by the way. There's still other ways that they can break open these walls that can be selected as that final one. Crow now from Not Yet. I feel like they wanted to bait this out for Na'Vi, but they just weren't biting.
A slightly better draft, I would say, from Not Yet for sure. And to be fair, anything's an improvement from that last draft. Na'Vi, I'm still thinking about that Miko. I really am not sure if they're still, considering it, because it is a straight path from that mid down the walls. As you mentioned, there's no wall break whatsoever, so it's not the worst of Miko games if they want to consider it, but there's a lot of other punish that they could consider as well. That's one that I love to see, and I didn't expect it whatsoever. The Meg just kind of wrapping out their draft now, 3 brawlers with an even sort of range, and if they get Kuru, as you mentioned, with that flying hook for that early priority in the mid, this could be a pretty sizable one push from Na'Vi. No good targets from the Lily to go after aside from that Lumi now. It's gonna be a troublesome one against Not Yet, but it's a much closer draft at least.
The target discussion is one thing. We know that it wouldn't be really optimal to go for the Carl nor for the Meg, especially since she's going to be exploding out of that mech after just a few shots from Lily. Lily won't be able to finish off the kill, but Lumi will be vulnerable. Here's the problem. Realistically, how are you going to achieve that super? Because Lily needs to sit within a radius near an enemy, and Lumi should be able to keep you at range. Well, the solution is pop that initial vanish and create the pressure. Achapi is forced to move back. Excellent play here from Not Yet, but still, Lily gets caught out on the left side, pinched between those 2 morning stars from Achapi, and it's as if it was never even going to be an issue.
The fight for that early game mid bush is really just a big part of how this game and how this sort of Kaboom Canyon map sort of plays out. Whichever team gets that initial mid control sort of is a poised position to win it out. And now Lily, the playmaker, there goes for the first target, gets one more as well. Double kill for our beautiful piano here on Lily. Now Minzan, the Crow in the mid, gets that super. He's going to be looking to get at Hypercharge, which it doesn't shred more than just 1 layer of shielding, but it's still the main sort of form of damage that this team has to offer.
Navi's got to be cautious about their own safe, however. That was a dive in from Minzan for a takedown, and these lives are being traded out left, right, and center. But Not Yet managed to come out on top in this interaction. They're only barely ahead on the percentage. Note that Kuru pressured Lily on the left side, going to be receiving a bunch of damage, at risk of being taken down. Ryohei and Achapi are both looking for it, and against all odds, Lily comes out on top. She's going to be on top of this safe and baiting out a shield. It's down to 75% on Navi's safe. Achapi will get the kill on the right side versus Lily. It took an entire hypercharge from Lily to get there, but it is an advantage for Not Yet.
That was probably one of the best dodges I've ever seen from a Lily, period. Just, weaving through all of those pickaxes, the morning stars whatsoever, you name it, and then finding the perfect target to land on that hypercharge. Now Minzan with a hypercharge of itself, gonna be going in and just firing the nuke off onto that safe. Not really full committing for the damage, so not gonna be getting that sort of percentage. He kind of moved towards the end, not gonna be allowing him to shred the full 25%, and I think that's kind of a mistake from them. Now gonna be allowing Ryohei with a hypercharge tailspin to go in for the backline, but the tech there from the Amber with this gadget is more than sufficient to defend this. Achapi tries to get a little bit of damage left, and Kuru is the last one to try to penetrate this, but with 4 seconds left on the clock, I don't think he'll get this one. Not yet. Finally show some signs of life, put 1 game on the board.
At last, they look like they've got something in them, and it was quite contrary to what we see teams, I would say, of the caliber of Not Yet, typically offering us at this level of play. A lot of times what enables them to win is like the new meta, right? Abusing the new busted brawlers or running it down with something tanky. This could not be further from that. Like, yes, you have the aggression from Lily, but that was the one real aggro brawler on their team. They kept the control with this duo of Amber and Crow, which was drafted in a pretty unorthodox way as well. This feels like one where they came in with a plan and they did manage to execute on it. But what happens when Na'Vi are put under pressure? Especially when they had the chance to advance themselves to a match point here. Were they not taking it as seriously? Or is it that Not Yet is that good right now?
Ryohei just kind of fed himself to Dancing Flames. Very uncharacteristic mistake there coming out there from Na'Vi. That's the entirety of the attack gone. Now, Not Yet inside the mid, firmly in control. Nice stun there from Achapi. Two men, but Lily throws out that Knight's assassination, goes on to Achapi, the best target there for sure. Ryohei back in this position, and now Lily on the board once again, but didn't pop the hypercharge. That could be a mistake, gonna be allowing Ryohei to do so much damage. And that's just buying so much time for Not Yet to get back into the mid.
It's very possible that the priority for Lily here was to get a takedown onto Lumi with the hypercharge. And could be saving the hypercharge for that moment. But in the end, sacrificed a ton of damage to Ryohei, who's going to be now popping that first shield with his positioning on the right side. It's a bunch of pressure put on Lily right now. Pops a hypercharge to take down Lumi. As predicted, Ryohei on the right side now falls victim to the Dancing Flames gadget. Na'Vi also are hunting for a Lily, and they will find their target, but it is going to cost them their first shield. Minzun, now, he full commits this time for a full 25%, corrects on the error from game number 1 to give the advantage to Not Yet.
That's a big resource, a big advantage for them. Now a two-man slow on that right side. As much as it's nerfed, it still did a tremendous amount of value. Now Creo going to be going in with Dancing Flames of its own. It's just going to be Achapi against Minzun. Gets a beautiful dive there, a team wipe there, so to speak, from Not Yet. And they're back in the lead. Only 20 seconds left to go.
No tempo separator between these two, though. There's not a shield to keep either team safely ahead. Achapi's going to look for this. Hypercharge, super in. Manages to get the kill. Ryohei's trickling this one down. It's going to be a tight margin. Body blocks from Kuru, but a hypercharge earned at the last second. Is it going to be enough? 34-29. A real buzzer beater to keep Na'Vi in the lead and up to a match point.
It's the moments like that that really hurt. And as a fellow Crow player myself, I've got to say that's given me quite the headache to see. If he had the shield there, he could have opted to probably run it in. Hell, I even think he probably had to run it anyways, just because the way that Crow's super works. You get a bit of burst damage when you exit, and when you enter, he needed the initial sort of damage to come out there to save it. And oh my god, we're still got a game 3 to Kazan. What's happened already? Yeah, double skills being traded left and right, and Na'Vi in the center.
My goodness, that was so close. A Crow hypercharge of all things earned at the 11th hour. And that enabled them to punch through an entire 25% and a shield earlier. Minzun's got to be punching the air after that one. And I don't mean in jubilation. I'm talking frustration right there. And you can see the fatigue starting to appear on Not Yet's gameplay. It's the second time in a row that we saw Lily fall in pretty much a fruitless attack. Not Yet are also at a deficit right now. Crew's more aggressive than he's been for this entire set so far, and a hypercharged Carl punches through on the back left. A serious disadvantage for Not Yet so far. Thankfully, they are able to get a bit of control now that they've dealt with that Carl on the left side, and Lily's going to be pushing forward, but she could really use another super, and note that she is getting closer to that hypercharge.
Oh, immediately scouted out there, but brought down there by the Lily. Ryohei gonna be popping the Tailspin just to secure the kill onto that Lily, then retreat back. He's gonna have to concede the mid there to Minzun. It is one entire layer shielding, completely shredded there. And Na'Vi, they are in the lead, but they've got a Lily hypercharge that they have to contend with. It's gonna go straight onto Kuru. It's a target that's a bit more difficult to kill, but with that hypercharge, it's enough. Gets one kill, and as a little bit of chip damage across the board, Minzun just needs to pop the nuke if he wants to shred through 25% right now.
Minzun's decided that this is better reserved for when this first shield is popped, or if they get desperate. So he's going to be hanging on to it for now. Meanwhile, he's relying on his teammates to defend. Creo gets one on the back left, but is forced to obey Achapi's aura here on the left side, a sort of radius around him that Amber is going to have to stay away from. A hypercharge available for Minzun, but he needs the matching super. Meanwhile, Ryohei's creating pressure in with his own hypercharge. It's going to take some serious teamwork to get rid of him on this back left. Just a few seconds to go. Not Yet have two hypercharges, but they don't have the supers. Hypercharge now out from Creo. Achapi is keeping his distance. That's a shield out. They need way more damage, and it's not even going to be possible for Not Yet, despite their best efforts. They got one game, and they nearly got a set, But in the end, Na'Vi rings true with a 3-0 sweep.
This is what we expect to see, but nonetheless, I think a really, really good effort there coming out from Not Yet. I feel so bad for our boy, our Steinway Piano, our D274 here. He just worked so hard in both games 1 and 2. He played so well, landed so many crucial Lily Supers, didn't miss a single one, if I really want to say. And despite all that, not enough. I've got to be punching the air if I was him.
Yeah, I think a little frustrated in that moment because look at this, Not Yet. This is so typical, by the way. Lose 4 games in a row, we get 1, and then the enemy team finishes off that sweep, only conceding 1 game along the way. So well done. Congratulations, Na'Vi. They're your finalists and your champions from last month. They're going to be making it back to that top 4 almost as great as you could expect, though not yet. They should be proud of themselves for getting that close versus Na'Vi, and set number 3 is by far their best draft yet. But in the end, when you're faced against number 1, this is sort of the expected result.
Well, I hope they'll be back for sure. Our friends here from Korea, they're one of the funniest people that you can see in the chat. You guys can't see the admin chat that we have of them, but they crack the most jokes. I can tell you that. They're really, really friendly guys and a little bit of a troll themselves. So I really appreciated them joining us here today.
Okay, folks, that sums it up for our second match of the day, and that marks the midpoint of the show. We've gotten 2 matches down, and we've got 2 more to go. We're going to take a quick break, and we are going to be back after a short one. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Rival Challengers League. Here in the 4th season, we have still yet to determine 2 of our finalists this month. 2 competitors here fought their way through an open qualifier, and 2 carried over from the finals last month, Spoo. Now we have some new arrivals, so let's start talking about them in this bracket where we've also gotten done with the first couple matches of the day.
Yeah, Gen G versus Rival Esports is the next one that we're gonna be looking at. This is gonna be probably the closest matchup this challenge phase. I've got a pity Rival, man. For some reason, they're always challenged third. And last month, they had to be challenged by Crazy Raccoon in the same position. Now, Gen G, arguably the team that is the most competitive out of these 4, at least just by seeding, is the one that chose to challenge Rival over Reject. Bear in mind, Gen G finished in the open qualifiers in 3rd place. They did not finish first. They lost to Momotaro in the open qualifiers. This is the same Gen G, the exact same roster that you saw on the BSC, the same Gen G that beat Zeta freaking Division. That is where I'm putting them at right now. Like, that is the standard that they can rise up to be. And Korean teams, whenever a new patch rolls in, they seem to be the masters of figuring out what's the cheesiest way to win. So fully expect this entire match to be a complete banger to watch.
Okay, and something that we've heard in the past is that, or I say we, really I mean me, and by the person I heard it from, I mean you, Spoo. The dynamic that we see Korean teams use is they love the tanks. This has been a long-standing thing, and it's a bit of a stereotype, but it is quite true, and this is probably the best meta to be skilled at those tanks.
And there we go. He's here.
Meow.
The reason why it hurt in my meow, it's finally gonna show up. I can't wait. This is gonna be crazy. Well, Gen G made a decision. You have to admit, this has to be a choice to ban B over banning Kit. They sort of feel that the threat from that overtime B is too big, or maybe they have a counter comp already prepared. Either way, they've let Kit slip through the pool. Recap, guys. This is Kit with Hypercharge. That's the reason why we're hyping it up so much. It has been known to apparently cycle upwards of 30 Hypercharges a game. I want to see if that's true or just sensationalism.
Fact or cap? All of your questions answered and more here on Pinball Dreams. And it's funny because the one clip that I've seen of Kit's Hypercharge being used was into a Frank. Now it was on Knockout, but still, Kit into Frank. A big old ball at HP that charges your super into a, well, brawler that really wants to cycle that super and hypercharge. This is a lightning fast draft so far, so help me understand here, Spoo. You have a Lumi mid, you have a Bull that's going to be played into a Charlie, probably one of the worst matchups that you can have as a Bull, so I'm a bit perplexed.
Well, I think the X factor is gotta go back to that Kit selection. There's something about the way that Kit plays now. I think we can sort of put her in the same category as how Lily plays, as how Cordelius plays, as how Charlie plays, and wow, Cordelia is gonna be making an appearance. So we can talk about both of them. Their job is to change up the dynamics of the matchups by removing a brawler from existence.
Yes.
In the case of Cordelius, you pull, maybe in this case, the Kit to the Shadow Realm, and suddenly the matchups between this Charlie and that Bull remain the same. Or it could be the opposite. The Kit could go for the Charlie directly, and that opens up the Bull to go for the Frank instead. So these kind of team plays are what I'm gonna be looking out for. And on the side of Rival Esports, I've gotta say, IC is one of the best, if not, he's really one of the best Bulls that has ever really played this brawler. Did it to perfection in the BSC and in the RCL.
Okay, eyes locked on the Bull from IC. Meanwhile, on the left side, Mameshi's already gotten his super. It's a free kill onto Cookie, who almost sidestepped it with an intelligently timed gadget and just put him into the wall. Mameshi with a little tip up to the right side. IC looking to walk this one on through. And Cookie, despite his best efforts, was not able to stop it. Dropped Bull down to basically 0 HP, but he was hanging on by a thread to lock in one goal. That is not a great super from Bono, and a super in from Mameshi to get a kill. That's a double kill around the right side. A pass up to IC is all they really need, but Kid is keeping the distance from Cookie at the moment. Mushroom Kingdom is going to heal Cookie all the way to full HP, where he's going to be likely cocooned in close range. Nope, not quite, but a pass up to the right side. IC will be taken down down, and it's a good defense for Gen.G.
Cookie with that monstrous damage on that Cordelia, just sitting on top of the entire rival esports team. It's very obvious no communication from that side to call out his position, but there we go. Mameshi with the first jump of the game. No hypercharge popped out just yet, and now Cookie, this should be an easy goal for him. Takes out Terry, evens the score 1-1.
Bang. It's like he was not even concerned about making that goal or not, but here's a super out from Mameshi. Takedown onto Cookie is good. And once again, shot called on the left side. IC ready to receive a pass. Cocoon activated for Charlie. She's not able to intercept in that form. That's game 1 for Rival.
And not even off the backs of a kid hypercharge, I might add. Mameshi had the opportunity to press it twice. He didn't. He's got a setting problem. I know the issue. You think you pressed it, you didn't press it. He didn't intend to save it. Either way, it didn't matter. Brawler still completely worked the way it was, and now gonna be going on to Cookie, almost getting a very, very quick super there. Now moding on the left side, getting pinched up by both IC and Terry. It's the same story as that game number, but now Mameshi going for a synergistic play, but two-man stun is the reaction to it. You don't want to be doing that into a Frank.
No, and you even saw Mameshi like tried to jump ship. He was like, Mayday, I gotta get out of here, and wasn't able to escape the clutches of the Frank. But Frank has popped his gadget now. He's not going to be immune to any stuns or anything. Mameshi is well aware. It's going to be a moment before he can make his play, and it might actually not be an opening that he was looking for at all. May even be better placed onto the right side. A stun. Mameshi tried to save the life, but was unable to do so. Now Terry's got to pick up the pieces here. Looks for the kill on Cookie. Excellent jump, but no. Still caught just on the edge of that Morning Star. Rival Esports, they keep up the pressure. Another kill from Terry. This guy is unstoppable at range.
And a hypercharge super there from Bonox, not going to be able to take down that center bit of cover. Somehow blocked out there. Now Cookie duking it out with Mameshi. He wins out this matchup. The ball control is moved very, very nicely inside Gen.G. A big super there from Terry to take down Cookie. It's still ball control for Gen.G. They can hold on to this for a while. They're going to chuck the ball there to that left side and let Moding just try and defend against it.
Few hypercharges available for Rival Esports. Gen.G, they have one, and it may actually be the most important one. Here comes Mameshi, the stun onto the kingpin of the enemy side, the one that they needed to take down first. But the cocoon from Moding might keep them alive for a little bit longer. Terry has a hypercharge ready. Bono's taken down. Cookie needs to be shoved into this stun. It's successful for now. Puts himself in the realm. Not quite the open goal that Terry needed. An intelligent hypercharge from Moding gives him the speed to intercept this ball and keep Gen.G Esports' hopes alive yet.
Now Bono's going to be feeding a little bit more of that to Mameshi. It's the best target. Mameshi forced to jump and then taxied back in there by IC. The combo plays are out, but ball control still with Cookie on that backline. Shoves it to that right side. Now clean up Mameshi in the back. 15 seconds left on the clock, and we send IC to the Shadow Realm. It's now Cookie's time to make the play happen. They need to communicate his position carefully. This could be an easy pinch or disaster for them because he's going for the backline. Two-man stun. Now interrupting Bonox. A pass over to Mameshi, and now cycling out. This is why IC is the god of bull in East Asia.
The synergy, the team play around Rival Esports' composition, everything fell into place. Terry keeping the individual control on the aggressive, IC being insane on Bull, and Mameshi always knowing the right moment to go for a synergistic play to get a stun, to jump onto IC. There were moments where they wound up getting caught up by a Frank stun, might I add, and the reaction from Rival Esports was respectable. They attempted to dash away. You saw like Mameshi detach from IC, like, get me out of here, and it wasn't any good. But still, they come out on top with some stats that clearly paint them as being a cut above.
Gen.G, they put up a decent fight. Gotta give it to Cookie. Picking up this Cordelia's as a last pick, I expect to see it a lot more, especially in East Asia. This brawler, I think, is kind of, it's sad. It's overshadowed by the kid. The damage buff that this Cordelia's received is substantial. He managed to get so many double kills in this game. It just feels like the execution wasn't as perfect as it needed to be. I feel in the hands of a more mechanical player, the impact of this Cordelia's perhaps could have kept up up with Momeshi's aggression there. But nonetheless, that set one in the bag. It's going to be headed over to Hard Rock Mine, and immediately Rival Esports, they don't want to deal with a taste of their own medicine. They pan out the kid, and Gen G pan out Cordelius. It's so poetic.
Just strong stuff right now. What can you really say? Rival Esports are very well aware of how strong the kit is, and as a first selection, geez, do you remember, like, once upon a time there wasn't even a kit hypercharge in the game, and kit was still so viable as a first pick just because of how versatile it made your composition. Do you want to play it synergistically? Do you want to play it as a lane that sometimes goes for the stun? Do you want to get some yarn balls in sort of a thrower form? Really, there are so many possibilities. Just hands down one of the most versatile brawlers in the game with so many different ways to play him. It's too strong to give your team as a platform to build the rest of their composition off of. Lumi picked up as #1 for Gen G Esports. It has a ridiculous win rate in competitive right now, even if we're just looking at BSC. But how often is that into the face of a much stronger, might I add my own opinion, Draco?
Oh, it's not just an opinion. At this point, you might as well cement it as facts. This guy has an obscene pick rate, an obscene ban rate in this past 2 patches. Inside the nerfs that we see, it's not enough, honestly. You got a hypercharge nerf, you got a damage nerf, but the point about it is this is a brawler that should be handled a little bit more like Kenji. You should at best get 1 hypercharge throughout the entire game, and right now Draco, he's still pretty much guaranteed to get at least 1 to 2 hypercharges per game. It's not a resource that can be stopped. There's no way to deal with it. Gen G though, they're not giving up just yet. They've opted to now swap out the Lumi to go on their right lane. We'll talk about that more just in a bit. B and the Bull just sort of to answer in their own way. The stun there on the Draco is a good way to do it, and yeah, I gotta talk about this more. It's like, what is this thing doing here?
Okay, so my thought is that you have a lot of bushes to work with. Once you get positioned there, you're super difficult to remove. That's going to be an immense headache for the B. It's going to require team play to get rid of. It's also just going to be so annoying for a Lumi, who, if she slaps the Morningstars against a wall, can get more DPS, but she doesn't have any sort of CC at close range. That little radius from your super, in any actual scenario, that's not hitting a Mortis that's right on top of you. So just note that interaction. You even see Momeshi's going for the lane swap. Lumi detected. He smells blood in the water. He's going to go for it. Nope, never mind. Has to go for the swap. Really, he doesn't want to face this Bull above anything else, but the intention here is to get on top of either that B or the Lumi.
Yeah, now flanked up the backline as you mentioned, but the formation is good. You've got Bull just, yeah, Bonox is on a mission of his own. He's just chasing Momeshi, and yeah, rightfully so. Wow, managing to cover Moding there with that stun. It is, however, going to be conceding a big part of that position, and Moding going to be whiffing a big super there. That's going to be quite painful for them. Nonetheless, though, they've still got to try and pull it back here. Bonox with a nice super there, but Momeshi dives Cookie in the mid. Now, just earning so much tempo for the Rival Esports team.
Terry has that confidence to stand out in mid despite facing the hypercharge from Bull, and bang, down for the count. He popped the super onto IC as well. Didn't need it at all. The synergy from this team is what keeps them online at the moment. Bono, wow, what an excellent chain super, but still, you can't be a one-man army. Not into Rival Esports. 5 seconds to go, and IC is still spawn camping Gen G Esports. That's one more game on the board for Rival Esports, and it seems like they didn't even break a sweat.
That last pick, Mortis, seems to be really dealing the hurt for them. As you mentioned, it's forcing so many unnecessary map movements out from Gen G, and I'm perplexed here that they picked up this sort of B bull, 5-6, I mean, sorry, 4-5 in their position as gem carrier of choice. There being that B, the big strength of it. Yes, dealing against tanks, and yes, it is a bit more painful against the Draco, but it's a huge weakness that is just completely exposed by assassins, and they don't really have that coverage in their comp, now really being fully punished for it.
That's a win for IC on the back right. Moding, though, manages to win something on the left side. Only escapes within an inch of his life, healing up whatever he can before Momeshi comes in for this next push. And he's looking for a Cookie, actually. Couldn't get it, though. An intelligent choice of star power for Cookie keeps him online by a margin of only 10 HP. really a smart decision here because he only has one thrower matchup, but holding on to the Big Sting for a little bit longer kept him alive. I digress though. Gen.G Esports have more going on for them than just that. They've got the double up lane on the left side, which has provided some peel for this B. Also, the versatility of their composition in terms of mobility has allowed them to place Lumi on the right side. Moding gets a kill on Mameshi. Bono with the follow-up on the IC. Gem Carrier down. All the gems go to Gen.G.
Bono showing up that he can outdo Mameshi as well on the bull. He's a tank assassin, so to speak, and now Moding just dealing with 2 members there on the backline. There's still 3 seconds left on the clock. Mameshi needs 2 to 3 supers to make this work, but no, not enough time. They probably needed, you know, an entire 10 seconds extra for that Draker to get in there. And Gen.G, they put one on the board. They found the solution to their problems. Just let Bono play his solo game and just will 2v1 this Mortis. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but we've got to make it work.
Problem identified and dealt with, but only temporarily. Mameshi's going to be dashing right through this bull this time, and he's going straight to the back lines. Exchanges his position with Bono, who's now going to be going for Rival Esports' Ramparts and applying pressure to Terry, who's very well aware. Moding also falls in an early interaction versus Draco. No major deaths just yet for Rival Esports, but they do not have mid positioning. Bono in with a super, looking for 2, breaks open some of these bushes. That's crucial. Terry even has to pop a super in an emergency. Won't end up getting any value out of it, so it is a bit of wasted utility, but it does show you just how much this bull is doing to upset the backlines for Rival.
The formation kind of breaking there a little bit. Moding, he took it a forward position there just to try to buy some time for Bono to get back to the backline and start doing his job. Not going to be chaining off the supers this time though. Moding there, another skirmish against Mameshi. The story kind of almost writing itself there. It's going to fall there. Now Bono having to play 2v1 and Mameshi on the other side, parity in that similar position as well. Bono though is the one that's coming out on top. 2 games in a row. This man just gets away with everything.
Put him in a time loop too. This is the exact same thing that he did in game number 2. Here comes Bono once again, taken down by IC. 5 seconds to go. Mortis cannot make the hero play, not against a hypercharged B. That's Gen.G with a set 2 victory, and holy smokes, I cannot wait to see what Bono was doing on this bull. We have the stats for you right here. What is his kill count? A 10-5 KD. Look at that damage. But size him up next to Cookie, and you'll see that Cookie was doing a ridiculous amount of damage too.
Man, I mean, this is just really great bull gameplay coming out from both teams. We saw IC deliver a masterclass in that last game, and now Bono says, hey, we've got a bull player on ourselves too. Yes, game 1 didn't go the way we wanted it to go, you know, spent a little bit too long chasing Mameshi around the map pointlessly when he was like, you know what, whatever Mameshi do, I can do it better. I will go and kill all of them by myself, and you guys just don't feed Mameshi. Just keep throwing Moding at him and just let Lumi feed up against the Mortis. Never let Cookie die. We got this.
Goodness. Okay, so we got to see what Gen.G is made of. When they get to play their meta, they look pretty darn good. Put them on the tanks. Give them a tank counter as well so they have it a little bit more secure. And this is also one of those where I feel like Rival Esports, they had a good idea, worked in game number 1, and then Gen.G downloaded. They pretty much solved the game. That Mortis was not causing them issues in game 2 and 3 like it was in game number 1. So props to them, and definitely a shout out to Rival Esports for giving us a taste of Mortis, which we just don't get to see enough of in competitive. He is such a strong hypercharge, but I don't even think we saw it once. He was more of a distraction than he was a power player. If we'd seen a hypercharge from him, not a doubt in my mind that this would have turned around in a huge way. But let's move on to Hot Potato. Some of the more important things now making their appearances here. Bonnie's always going to be crucial on anything with sightlines, and even those bushes are concealing things, it is a corridor of sorts that is useful for her to get her super and then get in position for some crazy safe damage.
It's an interesting first pick to me. This Bonnie first pick as well. It's decent, don't get me wrong, in this map, but this is really not the traditional map that you'd expect to see it up. Usually you'd see it more in, Kaboom Canyon, Safe Zone, larger maps. In this current map pool, we've got both Hot Potato and Pit Stop though. Not as many great viabilities. It's going to be playing off that Hypercharge nonetheless to try and get some kills, some stuns, and then value on the safe after. But Gen G though, now they pick up this Lily. This is a little bit more predictable, so to speak, here on Hot Potato, and it is one of the main picks that they used to great degree against Zeta Division that did get them the win. However though, this is a team that isn't like Zeta Division. Rival Esports aren't a team that basically likes to outdraft themselves. They like to get a good outdraft themselves by getting a lot of tanks as well. So Gen G have to be a bit careful with how they approach this.
Okay, well, how careful are they being, really? Not necessarily reckless. Oh my goodness. Finally, we get a taste of RT. I cannot wait to see what this guy has to offer. You know what? In the discussion of his Hypercharge, I heard someone say it was kind of like Amber, where it's crazy good. Only issue, realistically, you're only getting it once per game. So that's really the drawback of RT. But if you're able to get over to the enemy side, then heck, dude, you're getting tons of damage. Already got a buff in the last patch, the patch before last, I should say, where you're able to mark the safe now, and really like 3 attacks will let you take down an entire shield's worth of safe. But also, Hypercharge is going to be super useful here. I hope that this is not a Mortis situation and we actually get to see it do something.
And already, wow. Okay, sparks fly, and Gen G won the first fight of the game. And I did see 2 supers come out though. Now Mameshi has got a free super from that gadget that he probably got. Probably pretty close to his Hypercharge as well. I think just 2 more cycles will do the trick. But it's IC that has to be the main damage dealer. Here, he's going to be penetrating onto that backside. Bonox tried to go into Mameshi, and he just fed an entire Hypercharge instead to Mameshi.
Mameshi in an aggressive position, looking for a kill. He gets the defense, now has that Hypercharge. When is he going to use it? Gonna pop it now. Tons of damage coming in. Punches to the shield. Oh, it's crazy! What do you even do against that? Marks up the safe too. Mameshi looking for yet another. Cookie shoves him into the Shadow Realm, and there may be mercy on Gen G Esports yet. Final shield now on Rival Esports is safe. Cookie's applying the pressure, and Bonnie has that Hypercharge. It's looking a little hopeless for Rival Esports at the moment. 18% left. A stun ready for Bonnie too.
Modi gonna be going in, kind of whipping out that super. For some reason, not gonna be going on the safe, and IC is allowed to penetrate the back lines, drill through the Gen G Esports safe, and secure that game number 1 of another purple button.
Surely a misplay, though. Bonnie had a Hypercharge. She's not going to save it for the next game, so I'm not sure why she didn't go ahead and pop that. Definitely peculiar. It had to be a mistake right there. You talked about it like a misconfig where you thought you tapped your Hypercharge, you really didn't. GG, go next. I think that was still pretty good from Gen G Esports. There was real potential for them to get that one there. Mameshi is inching closer and closer to his Hypercharge, might I add. So let's note that for later. So far, Rival Esports haven't even required that RT to make some major plays on the enemy safe and nearly drop down that first shield.
That's pretty painful there. For the side of Rival, they'd love to get that additional hit, but nonetheless, they are a full entire super ahead. And Mameshi is just kind of content with playing in this Jackie form, by the way. He can fly back anytime, but he's just going to be hovering around and being the most annoying brawler for Cookie to deal with. And yeah, even a pin being thrown out there, and the Gen G sticker on the floor while he flattens him. Just classic Mameshi BM there. And then going back into the other form just to deal with molding on the back while IC continues his terror on that save. Now going to be going down by the terror from Bono. And that's the first bit of damage to Gen G. Wow, immediately punched through one entire layer of shielding.
At last level footing for Gen G, almost immediately squandered though as Cookie misses a Hypercharge super. Still has a radius to work with, so he can get a super for free from Mameshi. Really does not want to fight him in close range. And look at the difference between the percentages here. As it is now dropped to more or less the same. It is equal footing on the shields. Gen G Esports has taken a whole lot more damage than Rival at the moment, though, and now a defensive hypercharge out from Ameshi. Dodges the stun, gets a team wipe. Ooh, just throwing themselves into the meat grinder at the moment, Gen G. All for a bit of defense, perhaps, because Rival Esports was knocking at their front door to get them down to 7%.
They've still got one last push in them. 7% may just be all they need. They do need to survive this Draco hypercharge, though. And he's going to be going in the back line, popping the last stand. And once again, the same story. Purple Buttons wins games. This time, though, Rival Esports, I have to say, Mameshi, he asked the question, Gen G Esports, will it blend?
Will it blend? And Gen G Esports said, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to put my life on the line to figure out. And they go in one by one. It was very courteous of them to, not overwhelm the motor of that blender they were tossing themselves into. Moding, of course, being the final ingredient in that slurry of enemy brawlers that eventually led to the demise of Gen G in what otherwise was actually a pretty respectable composition. The RT was just so insane, though. Look, it wasn't a power player throughout the entire thing, really had moments. I think the show and the charge was really led by Terry and IC, of course, on their respective brawlers. But any brawler where you can press a purple button and immediately get a team kill is just absolutely insane. This needs to be banned.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how it slipped through the entire pick ban phase entirely. To be honest, with Gen G as well, they had, 4-5 selection. They could have gone for it themselves, but the structure of the draft just didn't really make sense for it. And it was the perfect counter, right? It beats all three of the brawlers on this map. Like, I'm just so pleased to see it. I mean, we've gotten to see Kid Hypercharge. Now we get to see the RT Hypercharge. We didn't get to see Mo. What's the last one we missed? It's probably something not important, is it?
Yeah, it has to be. I'm like digging in my memory. Byron?
No. I couldn't be Byron. I bought it. I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna check right now. What a sec. I'm gonna stop casting. Okay. Stop playing the game.
Yeah. While Spoo is doing something way more important than casting the show at hand, which he's paid to do, by the way. Let's start. Let's talk about Ring of Fire, which is coming up for set number 4. We'll be headed into draft mode. Okay, you know what? Yes. Talk.
It's Chuck.
Oh, that's right. That's
See, what we forgot.
Yeah, and so, what is Chuck Hypercharge useful for? I don't know. Like one thing, farming like YouTube Shorts, popping him in solo showdown, and watching him cross the diagonal. I feel like that's probably about it. Besides, of course, having the hypercharge that gives you additional speed and damage. You know what? I'll leave it up to the pro players to find something. Cut the discussion here. We've been dragging them too much.
It's more like, in my mind, it's just like, dude, let's not try to hype it out. It's a potato BS shorts, and that's about it. Like, it's
potato, Gunner, who am I missing? Mystic Winter. Yeah, someone told me those were the 4 horsemen of Brawl Stars shorts or reels or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, well, go check out them. I'll shout them out real quick if you want to see some Hypercharge Chuck gameplay, because you're not getting it here, friends.
Guys, Gen G. All right, can I get a love letter to Gen G real quick?
Yeah, okay. Hey. I'm writing it down. You can go ahead and dictate it.
Dear Gen G, you're playing against Rival Esports. You think that you can beat the Draco because you can counter it. So you don't ban the Draco. Rival Esports immediately pick Draco. You lose the game. Stop doing that.
Not love Spoo? Is that what I should write?
No love from me. Stop giving Draco, guys. It doesn't... Okay, fine. This map is a map that I forgive them because at least they look like they have a plan. The plan is to Pam. Wham Bam. We'll see if she can actually make the difference against this Draco. In theory, it can, but in the hands of IC, man, it's hard.
The Pam with a plan. Last time I saw Pam played here, you want to know what happened? They lost. You know why? Because they faced a thrower. What did Rival Esports just pick with their 4-5? If you said thrower, then you don't get anything except a feeling of pride and accomplishment and a confirmation that you have a breathing level IQ at minimum. So that is really the central weakness of Pam. Melody last pick. Okay, you know what? I'm here for this absolutely insane draft. I don't see any counters here to 8-bit. I see a direct response to the Pam already. And the only really viable thing for Melody here is the Barley. This is just not really what we needed to see from Gen G right now.
It's hard.
Hard to be a Gen G fan right now.
I think Gen G's to give them a little bit of credit here, the first 2 picks are sufficient to sort of deal with what the Draco can bring to the table. And as you rightly pointed out, there is no answer to the 8-bit. I think that's going to be the hidden problem. In a sense, Modox, if he plays really well and gets a nice hypercharge on, could be the answer to it. But yeah, early game is definitely going to be going, momentarily there's a rival esports, but Gen G will get sort of that big tempo swing up until Draco decides to get a purple button.
And note how chalked this matchup is for IC on the right side. He's pretty much running at Amber until he eventually gets his super and hypercharge. Meanwhile, at mid, Rival Esports have actually been doing a really good job. The issue is primarily that IC isn't here to provide pressure on the right side, which means that once he dies, Rival have to fight a 2v3 at mid. They are picking up some kills here and there. It's not going to be such a bad outcome that they do get these Barley super cycled out. But now the pressure is coming in from the right side. Takedown into Barley is a great place to start. Terry, now also vulnerable, has the damage to get rid of this Pam turret, I should add as well, but cannot really be a one-man army. He's being swarmed by the Gen G brawlers, and in spite of that, he still remained alive.
Terry with nice movement there, gonna be unfortunately taking up this burn is kind of forced there, but now popping up the hypercharge, and that's going to be boosting up Mameshi's last call to go into the backline. That's so much damage. Moding is eating up 2.5k per tick off each Barley super there. Now IC gonna get scrap suckered up. That's gonna be a majority of that Draco pressure gone, and it's gonna be an opportunity for Cookie to pop a hypercharge of its own, go into the backline, and just start drilling it in onto Terry.
Terry still just crapping out damage as this 8-bit, but what can you really do when your Draco is not doing all that much at all? They're being forced off of this point, and Amber is so reliably firing off these puddles of fire fuel that it feels like they're sort of checkmated in the draft. IC is going to pop this gadget now, continues the assault forward, knows exactly when to ditch that forward momentum. 7% left for Gen G Esports. They know not to be too hasty. They should get this eventually. There's a takedown onto Draco. Cookie finishes off Terry, and this one's in the books. Gen G get game number 1, and that is their strategy, is really sustain and repeatedly taking down the Draco to fight a constant 3v2.
It's not over just yet, folks. Gen G still have got some fight in them, and that Melody selection that we thought was interesting turned out to be a pretty useful pickup for them, because I guess if Terry's not using the beacon that actually gives him the movement speed, he's a pretty easy target to juke and jive around. So that's actually 2 matchups that this Melody is going to excel in. Now we see a change up in the gameplay though. I see not going for the, I'm just going to throw my life away play anymore. Now just opting to, try to wait for a timing and let his team sort of play 2v3 a little bit, watch the Amber's position, and then maybe decide to come out. But at the moment, he's kind of just playing like my bots.
Not really the greatest start for Rival Esports this time. They got a lot more damage locked in last time, but one of the main things that I'm noticing has changed is the lane matchups. IC still on the right side, but he's matched by Cookie rather than Bono, who knows that he has a good matchup into this 8-bit as long as he's got dodges, and he has been cycling out the supers by the use of his star power. Meanwhile, on the right side, IC refuses to move. He just doesn't want to give super to Cookie, because in turn, Cookie's able to take down Mameshi, but Mameshi falls nonetheless. Bono's also swapped over to the left side, gets the super back, now can destroy some of these bushes and keep Terry pushed back as well. But that's the kill that Rival Esports needed to start things off. They've already gotten a kill on Melody. Moding on the right side is possibly going to cause an upset. Scrap Sucker out. Terry doesn't have that great of reload speed. It's going to be a victory on the lane for Moding, at least in the sense that he keeps his position. Cookie also looking for a couple of kills, gets some with some assistance from Moding, and in spite of the percentage being tied, it is an advantage for Gen G at the mid game.
Yeah, Cookie now with that Melody's hypercharge as well. Going to be going on the aggressive on that back line. Almost getting lasered down there by Terry. It takes Icy to join the mix in order to bring him down. Now beautifully dodging out that scrap sucker from Moding. Turning his fire-breathing dragon onto him. Now bringing him down. Going back to the mid. Now without the Pam to protect his team. Icy can go in on the aggressive. Mameshi has opted to go for a bit of a suicidal play. Hypercharge though from Icy. Starts burning up the safe. Burning up the ground. But it's not going to be enough. But at the very least, Rival Esports are fully tied up, and now a hypercharge to follow from Mameshi.
Really needed that. Maybe that sacrifice was worth it because it got them this positioning here. It kept them alive for a little bit longer. 13% to go. They're narrowing this down to 10. Super possible for Bono. He's popped the hypercharge. No super to match it, and only a couple more percentage to go. Rival Esports bring us to match point. They've equalized the score here in set number 4. And it could end here. Gen.G Esports showed us signs of life in the last game, and it could all come crumbling down.
I can't believe we just witnessed a game where IC AFK'd for 25 seconds and they won because it was tactical. They were he was really waiting for that perfect timing to go on the aggressive where he could get the most pressure on the board. And it just really goes to show, guys, for you guys in chat that are not at that level, it's okay to AFK sometimes when your matchup is bad. Now, looking at this PAM matchup though, as you can see, IC once again assesses that the matchup is just really horrid for him. He might tank a few shots to get that super. Yeah, already rotating. He wants to be able to rotate unseen to that left side and maybe get a flank on to Cookie. But with that burn in the mid, that's going to change their plans completely. Gen.G looks so much better this game.
They really do. The lane matchups are working out much better for them. And really just a couple of matchups that Rival Esports don't want to fight. IC decides to play aggro into Moding, immediately shut up by a turret that he can't punch through, and Moding healing up such a formidable amount that he cannot get through that either. Terry, though, gets the inaugural kill at mid, and in spite of having more kills and just better stats in this game than Gen.G, they have not had the control. They're lagging behind by a good 25% here, but they finally have positioning on the point. Mameshi needs a couple of shots to get rid of this turret, but is not provided enough positioning as Terry has to fall back. Super out from Mameshi is going to provide them the pressure they need, and Rival Esports hang on.
This Barley selection is just doing so much more damage than expected here. Every shot from there being amplified there by that turret. It's going to be burned down momentarily here. But Terry's got another one to be cycled out as well. And that's just the additional damage they need to punch through this Pam. But nonetheless, Bonox with that hypercharge is going to get a quick team right there on the Rival Esports team. And now with IC falling to Cookie as well, it's going to be a position exposed. Bonox going to be getting another kill on the Terry as well. Mameshi to fall. Bonox truly the carry here of Gen.G, pulling his weight to the max. IC has to pull up his socks and try to get his team desperately back into the mid.
Just 14% to go for Gen.G and a whole lot longer for Rival Esports. They got 40% to pick up, and they're fighting a 2v3 at the moment into an Amber Hypercharge. It is a hopeless endeavor. 10% to go. Mameshi is going to get some value with the Barley Super out now, and Bono and Cookie both heal up for a little bit longer, and Pam's turret. Cookie once more with the aggression. IC, though, should provide this peel. A pinch around the right side. A kill on Moding is what they really need right now. Mameshi with damage enhanced shots will stay alive a little bit longer here. More damage on a Cookie, taken down the last second. Terry returns to the front lines, but not in time to silence Bono, filtering out a spawn. Gen.G, by the skin of their teeth, scrape their way into set 5.
I can't believe that they're pulling it off, and man, Rival, so unfortunate for them. This time, the early game wasn't as good. Bonox managed to hold out in that mid against the 8-bit for such a long time, and that early lead was crucial for them to get this game. Rival Esports, though, they made it look close. I have to say, you got 3 brawlers that if you look up Ring of Fire and the pick rates on this map, these are not brawlers that you'll see here very much often. Maybe Rival Esports would draft them with some kind of challenge on their shoulder because they almost made Draco first pick work.
Geez, just so interesting. It nearly functioned for Rival Esports, and I actually had more faith in their composition, but once the game got going, I got a much better understanding of what Gen.G's strategy into this was going to be. First of all, the Amber did so much work on several different roles, I should add as well, because we did go to Game 3, we got to see a pretty wide spread of different lane matchups from both teams. Rival Esports, something I'll note consistently is that Terry was just absolutely pumping out the damage, and Mameshi did start to find his form there in game number 3 as well. Game number 2 looked, I would say, pretty good for him, but game number 3 we saw him actually like getting the Pam turret taken down, a couple of hypercharges out. Didn't look too bad either. So a whole lot of developments over the course of the set. That is what you see at the pro level. It has brought us, Spoo, to set 5.
Man, look at this 2-0, 2-1, 2-0, 2-1. Love to just read out this beautiful new graphic, and now
Wow,
we already know
thank you.
what
I wonder who made it.
We already know what map we're going to. Wow, amazing!
I know you. Wow, yeah. Keep
Yeah,
on
it's just
gassing me up. And when we don't have the map, we at least know what mode it's going to be because Match Arena only lets you select a map pool. I know it really is a marvel of broadcast engineering, is it not?
Yeah, it's almost like you prepared this, and
It's
every
like I
possible
programmed
thing
it.
that could happen. Then
I
you
wonder who made
programmed it or
this one.
something, Yeah. Let's program the rest of the draft real quick here because looking in at dry season though, this map has really been, I would say, one of the harder maps for most of these teams in East Asia. And in the draft already, we can see that both teams, they're threatened by the kit. They just want to deal with it. They know that on a map like dry season where it's slow enough to just wait, and you could AFK charge a kit hypercharge in theory, it's a really big problem. Now Rival Esports is going to snatch up the RT. They assess that even independent of using it as a tank counter, it can be used in the other angle as well. Like back in dry season in Bounty, this is sort of the original position that RT was drafted in. They're gonna pair it up with a Squeak, so I like this a lot. You've got sort of your mid-range control coming in, just the big damage as well, and then the RT to cover against tanks, things like the Kaze.
I'm seeing potential for the Squeak to get run down by the Kaze. That's really one of my main hangups with this from Rival Esports so far. Gen.G, they're going to be getting that blue star right off the bat, and maybe Rival are like not even concerned about getting run down because their idea is, well, they're going to run down the enemy. Now here comes Byron from Gen.G. Going to be healing up the Kaze at range, keeping her alive. Could also assist something else that's aggressive if they really want to. If they need to like go for an additional assault. And I'm trying to think of what sort of aggressive thing would be the solution. There are a lot of times here you see like an Ollie make its way through, but that might be an overcommitment on close range things because Ollie can get some like okay damage, but he does need to get in close range to get his biggest value. Gray now making an appearance from Gen.G. Help me put this one together, Spoo, because I see the potential for like some aggression from the Gray, but generally I think he finds his best value from combining with an aggressive brawler, but one that's tinky, not a Kaze type aggressive.
Have you heard of the selfish Gray theory?
I have not. Please enlighten me.
Well, in legendary rank and above in East Asia, which is where I play from, Gray is theorized as a first pickable brawler in most of these bounty maps like Shooting Star and Dry Season in particular, because you pretty much can just play as an assassination type brawler, just play off that Walking Cane, use that first star power instead of the second, just get that additional sort of HP, run the shield gear, run as fast as you can down the mid, get a Walking Cane online, get your hypercharge online, and every time you TP on, let's say like a Brock or a Squeak, it's always a kill that you can guarantee with your auto aim. So I guess that's sort of the angle that they were going for. And Rival Esports, they didn't go with the hardest punish. They opted to go for this wall break instead. Brock has been criminally underrated in this patch. Someone once told me that they said that actually Brock is starting to be banned out quite a lot again because wall break is starting to become very popular. So we're gonna have to see whether these ideas pan out in these teams' favors.
We don't really need to spell it out for you here, folks. You know that Kaze needs these walls to survive, but so do many other brawlers in the current meta, and that's part of why he is so strong right now. Break open the walls, and you have infinite gadgets, so you can do it as many times as you like. One's been broken open already. Looks like sights might be set on that right side as the next most viable target. And look at this defense from Mameshi and Terry. The Squeak Super connects to get this lead back for Rival Esports and the Blue Star.
Very unfortunate there from Gen.G. don't want to be in this position where you're behind by that blue star. But Bono, though, gonna be using that gadget to go invisible momentarily and getting a little bit of damage onto Terry there. That's gonna allow the rest of Gen G to aggress now to this last layer of the base. Bonox, nice dodges there from him, creating so much pressure. Now getting one more hit. The fan stop there to sap out the damage from Moding. That's not a good target to go for. Icy just now can just stand still. He's gonna tank out one last shot, so at the very least, the stars are just only 1 star apart.
Rival Esports ahead by the blue star and by 1 star. 1 kill from Gen G would seal the deal. They'd be able to run it back. Bono might be the brawler to send in. This selfish Gray on the left side will finally get his super and has an opportunity to move in. Most likely versus Mameshi, or could go for a long pull. He has the gadget at the ready right now. 10 seconds to go. Moding in from the left. A pull on a Mameshi. Yanks him out of position. That's about all he's going to get. Bono with 1, 2, and 3 seconds to go. Gets the final one. Terry steals it back. What a comeback for Rival to move them on to match point, and such a save.
Terry was spamming hacks from the base. He was like, wait. Please, let me have time. Managed to get it done in the end there. Almost missed it. And but Bono, though, with that very last ditch play there, if he managed to clip Mameshi on the tail end of that hypercharged super, dare I say, might have gotten the full team wipe there. Nonetheless, a buzzer beater of a game. And Moding, if he wants to play this selfish Gray, gotta step up. Like this level of Gray has to go higher here. He's gotta be playing a lot more aggressive. He's got to channel his inner Tensai Aside Tampo here.
That he does. Or Melty. I see him put up some serious numbers on the Gray in this region. We'll see if he's able to get some shots, because you really only need 4 to get a super, and he didn't get his super until super late last game. But Bono's going on a recon mission. They know they have this blue star, but they're also quite aware of the fact that they cannot hang back. Terry gets yanked by Moding and further punished by Cookie on the Byron. Rival Esports are behind by a large enough margin that Gen G Esports feel comfortable in retreating just 1 rung here on the bounty map. And Gen G Esports still have yet more aggression to play around with. Moding's gonna send it. He was so aware of the amount of ammunition that Rival Esports were working with that he felt confident supering in. And he has another one to super out. He's got to be only a couple of shots contacted away from getting a hypercharge as well.
What a game so far. Now Moding's got a hypercharge super. Not gonna elect to use the hypercharger to go out there. Bono still goes on the aggressive. Gets 1, gets 2, but then trades out 5 stars back. Excuse me. Now 7 stars behind. Rival Esports need to get a kill at least on Moding and another if they want to pull this game back.
Gen G, they've been quite generous with the donations from Bono, but in turn, they have gotten a couple more kills off of that. It gets them closer to 20 stars, which may be where they're heading. They're going to need a full team wipe to get there. With 10 seconds left, it's not really in the playbook. Rival Esports giving it everything they've got. They've got 7 stars to recover. They need a full team wipe to do it. Moding gets first takedown, 2 seconds to go. IC eliminated. Gen G bring us to a double match point. Our team that made it to the finals last month, just at the brink of destruction here in the challenge phase.
Could be the upset of the day here in the challenge phase. Could we see another challenger rise up? It's gonna come down to 1 final game here. And looking at the way Gen G executed that strategy last game, man, I'm starting to even think that they have comp. And I'm gonna be worried here for Rival Esports.
So much of it hinges on the success of Moding on this Gray. That was the biggest differentiator between game 1 and 2. You saw Moding holding like, what, 5 stars towards the end of game number 2. Game number 1, he was lucky to get a super in the final 10 seconds. But this time he's been denied the super much more confidently. He's gotten a couple of shots so far by the looks of things. You'll see quite a different dynamic as well. Rival Esports are prioritizing at different walls for the break. They've gotten the back left as usual, but they've also decided to break the left side as well. Now for the bushes. They do not want to be surprise attacked by Bono like they were in the last one. That's an intelligent super from Cookie to get a kill for Gen G. It puts them 3 stars in the lead.
And while now Bonox just, encroaching in on that position, swapping up with the Geisha, throwing in the Fan Storm to isolate and force the entirety of Rival Esports on the retreat. They're gonna have to try and chase down Bono. They know that he's at least a few seconds out before the next transformation, but that's just way too much mobility. The left side of the map is torn up nice and open. That's what they want to play at, but with the stars being behind, okay, Moding tried for the long pull, unsuccessful there, but it's still just grinding them out down the clock, being the enemy here. And another kill there for Gen G.
It's not looking good for Rival at the moment. The pressure from Bono is too much. Terry moving up top, even pops the super to try and get something. 20 seconds to go. Rival with their backs against the wall. Doing quick math here, Moding, Bono, that makes 6 stars. Byron, worth 4. They need a full team wipe to make this happen. Bono gets taken down, but it's still a trade. It's going to take more than that. IC now down to just 2 health. Moding gets the kill, and with 5 seconds to go, it's already written in stone. Gen G Esports, they rise through the open qualifier. They take Rival Esports to set 5, and they get the job done. They're going to the monthly finals.
Congratulations to Gen G. First in BSC, they beat Zeta Division. Now here in the RCL, they've taken down yet another top tier team. Seed number 5 goes down to seed 8 here in the Rival Challengers League. They're going to be claiming that spot tomorrow amongst the top 4. And just recapping just real quick on the stats there, gotta say, one draft looks a little bit more, sort
of
concerted, just a little bit, a little bit more logical than the other. Like, you've got a Squeak here pairing up with Wallbreak. Doesn't really make too much sense. Meanwhile, on Gen G, you've got that Byron Heals going with that Kaze, with that Selfish Gray, so to speak. And it's really just the fact that Rival Esports, they had no answer to anything that Gen G were putting up.
We call this from the moment that Squeak was selected. There is risk of getting run down. Well, how do they plan on doing this? Just get a kill on Gen G while they're in their spawn. And the response from Gen G, every single game of this set, what did they do? They continued to play aggressive, even when they had the blue star, even when they had the lead, and even when it led to their demise in the first game. It didn't matter because they kept Kaze in an aggressive position and they managed to eliminate RT first in many of these situations, which left Squeak, Brock so vulnerable against the Kaze. And I also got a shout out Moding on the Gray. He managed to pull his weight in games 2 and 3. I think it was the reason for their defeat in game number 1. And he stepped up. Huge props. Gen G, they deserve to be in the finals. They took down number 2 from last month.
That's incredible. Right, Gen G, for the better half of the entire year, they've kind of been mocked at for the fact that you've got such a big name as an organization, picking up a team of Koreans that nobody even knew about. Honestly, I know about them because I've, gotten my ass whooped by them too many times in this region, But to be fair, now they've really, stepped up to the plate. They're playing with the big boys and they're showing why they deserve to compete with them. And now with a 3-2 victory over Rival Esports, they're going to be very, very happy heading into tomorrow's competition. But that said, we've got one final matchup before we conclude the day. And yeah. Is it surprising that no one picked Reject again? Like, this ain't dodgeball, y'alls, like this is, it's not like one of those high school last pick syndrome where you feel bad being left out. It's the opposite. You don't pick him because you're scared of this monstrous team. Yeah, Reject, remind me what position they finished in the VSC this month.
Oh, yeah, fair point. So, with that considered, yes. I was trying to talk around it for the sake of 23 here, because for anyone who is, not doing their homework or maybe missed the East Asia Monthly Finals, Reject took it all in just such an awesome move. It was amazing to see the looks of celebration on their faces. I know we were all pleased to see Melty's cam. I certainly was. He always looks immaculate there. But 23, they got pretty much, they drew the shortest straw. And no one wants to face a Reject? Cool. Let's see what 23 have to offer. You saw it happen just right there. We are moving over to Triple Dribble. Map 1 has been decided and will be moving into draft shortly. But Spoo, in terms of brawler selections here, we can start talking about the map. So one that we saw banned out and even picked out on, I believe it was Triple Dribble here, was Willow, which I think is a more popular selection on like Pinball Dreams or something as a first selection. But it's one that I've enjoyed watching pretty consistently, and I'm curious whether you think it'll appear here on Triple Dribble.
It's probably, at least from what I've been told, the only safe thrower that you can pick up in Triple Dribble early before the last pick. I think we already saw it once today, done by Effort Result, and they managed to execute it pretty well. They picked it, I believe, 2-3 on the third pick. It's a pick that I think some people have even calculated that with the right bands, you could potentially even pick it up first pick, but it's a huge gamble because it's not in the position where it's a threat just yet. Like it's not like, you know, big hitters like, for example, Draco or Kid in this patch. But nonetheless, I think 2-3 or 4-5, we expect to see it quite a fair bit.
Okay, folks, the draft is underway and we'll be getting those bans in shortly. Main characters of today, who's going to be banned and who's going to be picked if it's not banned. Have to keep the Hank, the Draco on your radars. Anything new, the Kit, the Shade as well. You could be giving yourself a Fire Shade game depending on your bans. Let's see. And some of these are making it through, but the central things that have been banned out, of course, Jae-Young is generally a good thing to get rid of because it can give your enemy a lot of versatility. It leaves you open to being run down. But some of the repeat things throughout today, Reject to get rid of the Shade, Charlie, the Lily as well, 23. No Lumi, please. No Kit either. And of course, that aforementioned Jae-Young. First selection coming out from Reject. They're going with the Crow. Also, hold up. Help me understand what's going on here, because it looks like things are swapped around.
What? Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm not even sure which draft we're gonna be looking at right now. But looking at least at our bracket, yeah, there's something wonky going on here. Let's just assume that Reject are the team on the right, not the title, and that it is actually 23 with the correct first pick of the Crow. Let me just double check the bans just so that we're right. Yeah, so Reject is indeed on the right side. For some reason, the sides are swapped here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is going to be a Crow first pick coming up from the side of 23. That is a pick that I enjoy quite a fair bit, but as expected, as you said, you talked about the Willow at 2-3, and indeed it did come up. That's going to allow, though, 23 to snatch up sort of the largest threat of the patch, and it's going to be that Draco selection. They're going to round it off with a Barley of their own just to make sure that they have a thrower to deal with the Willow and not get boxed in the base.
Okay, final selection now. 23. What will it be? I've got one more selection to work with. Into the Draco and into the Barley. Well, they've already found a way to slow down this Draco. I think they could play a little bit more around the walls. There you go. Something like that. Stymie a push in from Draco and shove someone into the Shadow Realm as well. Doesn't really hurt. You can jump over the wall versus the Barley. I'm seeing plenty of play for the Cordelius last.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent counter into pretty much this Draco selection. I think the range that it plays at is just nicely outside of the max lance range of that Draco, and that kind of makes it a really interesting interaction. It's pretty skillful, so to speak. Both brawlers can charge supers off one another. But yeah, Shu, if he decides to Shadow Realm this Draco up while he's in his supercharged form, it's also gonna be something that he has to play the spacing correctly. Yeah, it's gonna be Battleman piloting out that Willow, and glad to see that the drafts have swapped back to our perspective, which is wonderful. So going into this game, though, you got a Crow here playing on that right side, and already Battleman is gonna win this game for his team, I think.
Yeah, it looks like it. Well, Reject so far have pushed things into the back right. Shu has that super at the ready. Could use it for mind control to get a goal. He's going to go for it. But does Crow have enough HP? Oh, nearly. He escaped the mind control just at the edge of that goal. Battleman's closing around the left side. Doesn't mind taking a little bit of damage. Needed a bit more assistance to punch through. Gets it slotted through. And Reject get one goal.
1 goal apiece, and now Battleman goes in for the Barley, one of the few targets that's a little bit more difficult to bring down. That's going to expose the Draco, but then just passes it back onto Battleman. And is that the fastest ball game we've seen just yet today?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Reject are trying to end this one off nice and snappy. Your monthly final champions from BSC in July are still looking like they have that form despite being in a brand new patch. Game number 2 on the way. The draft works so well for Reject at the moment. Interesting move from Battleman. Sacrificed utility for him that was sort of wasted, but it's okay because the matchup he's trying to win on the right side really depends on whether he can just keep Draco out of the mix for a little bit longer. He's getting great comms from his team to sit right on top of Crow and gets a favorable matchup versus Draco once more.
Man, this is terrifying to look at, and Shu, he just knows the interaction so well. An easy calculation on his part. 1 brawler to defend, 1 super to stop him, and an easy goal for him. Battleman now continuing this spacing game against 23, but as you can tell, 23 is starting to look a little bit desperate. They're starting to play a lot more hyper-aggressive, and that's going to just be feeding out a lot of supers onto Battleman. Now popping the hypercharge. This man is just on a mission to tear through the entirety of 23, but okay. I guess even gods can fumble.
It's still possible. Wow, Shu closed in for the kill. Really nothing that Gretel could do there. And 23 are shut down so confidently. Ooh, get me away from those stats. Those look pretty pitiful for 23. Oh, no. They don't look much better here either. Across an entire set, realistically, that's about, what, 3 attacks landed from a Draco? Maybe 4?
That's incredible. That's... is it even... He didn't... So let's be real. He didn't get a super... 2800 is the damage he has at max level if he hits in max range. So it's 2800 times 2, which is 5600, and then you add another half a hit. He got 2.5 hits.
I was about to fall asleep if you kept saying numbers right there. Way to stick the landing. Goodness. Well, okay, but yes, you had it spelled out for you. Guy didn't even get his super. That really stinks. And I would say a lot of it is just off of the, well, okay, team effort, of course, but Cordelius shut them down. So many cycled supers, jumping over the walls. It was exactly the answer to that composition right there. We're going to be moving into our next draft as well. We're starting off on Hard Rock Mine this time.
Another map that 23 have got to be concerned about, that Mushroom Madness. Honestly, Cordelius, to me, I rate it as one of the few brawlers that's the top of the entire patch. We've got bans coming in, and I do expect to see banned out by either one of the teams. So is the kit as well. I think they're going to really define the rest of the month of August, really. In the BSC, there's 1 more month to go, and so do we. Like, we have a finals of RCL as well, and if there's no more patches between now and then, this is indeed the meta that you're going to be looking at. Nonetheless, Reject, still on the right side, by the way, and just for your confusion, the Reject draft is on the right and the 23 draft is on the left. Don't worry about that. It's just some Maturino wonkiness going on. Lily is the first pick selection there. Reject prioritizing it, the assassin pickup as their selection, but Lily is one of those few assassins that does fare well even into the likes of a bull.
I do like the Lily into bull matchup a lot of times because I feel like it's one of those interactions that it seems like bull should win, and yet Lily actually wins it just because she has more favorable range. Doesn't really need to be right on top of a bull to get her damage. Got respectable reload speed as well, even though she only has 2 shots. So I'm looking at one for Lily that can turn out pretty well. One that bull is also not going to want to feed. Otherwise, Gus is going to be taking a brief a brief trip to the Shadow Realm, and then he's going to be going back to the respawn because there's literally no escaping that. 23 with their 4-5 selections pick up a Lumi and an Angelo. This is extremely control based. You do not see this frequently. Angelo on Hard Rock Mine has been unheard of for quite some time.
It's a Reject special. Once again, they're the team that loves to play control more than any other team in the region. Even when they pick aggressive picks, it's sort of anti-tanks rather than full-on tanks. And Lily is sort of an assassin, you know, aggressive type brawler that is there to, you know, provide pressure and control, but it's not a full commitment type of tank. So really, Reject are sticking to their bones. This Angelo selection, I expect it to take flight, right? It's one of the few brawlers left as a mid selection that, if played properly, can contest the Gus fairly well 1v1, and it's not the easiest brawler to chase down if you're a Bull or a Buzz. Now this Buzz last pick though, it is another interesting one to me because I think this is a brawler that's sort of flown under the radar for a very, very long time, but it's got decent matchups into both this Lily and the Lumi.
Okay, folks, keep your eyes peeled. We're looking out for the Buzz. He's initially going for Battleman. Manages to get through in the end. Didn't line up those shots perfectly in the beginning. Melty, though, plays around these walls excellently and gets the kill, gets all the control back for Reject, in fact. 23 had a winning range matchup with Gus, in my opinion, but he sort of bent the knee to Melty over here on the Lumi, who's now swapped over to the right side, getting punished in close range by Buzz, as you would expect. Battleman getting gutsy in close range as well. Bit of a whipped super there for Buzz, denies him from the ability to take down Battleman, and Reject are all up in 23's business right now with Shu in their enemy side.
You got a ricochet super deck coming out from Shu, just failing to connect to anything there. And then now the gem donations continue from 23. Gretel just kind of running it down here. The Bull fell earlier on that right side. Here's the target now. For this Bull is going to be looking up for another donation of 2 gems once again. He's going to be trying to go for a kill on Battleman at the very least, but with Melty here, it's going to be hard to stop this one. He's going to get that kill onto Melty now. Battleman is the target. Okay, everybody converging onto him. No more donations here. It's a robbery instead.
Just a few seconds to go. Reject looking to steal this back. 23 have all 10 gems that they need. Buzz firmly planted in the back lines. Has enough HP to block Battleman as well. Pick up a couple gems for his troubles. And despite an interruption, it's as safe as can be now with 13 gems strong on Buzz.
The Bull Reject respawning with their might, but they first got to find the Buzz and then bring him down. This is a very difficult reset to do. Dare I say, nigh impossible, especially with only 2 seconds left on the clock. You can't chase down the Buzz. The Life God slips away here. 23. They're not going to be clean swept by Reject at the very least. And in this first game, after that chaotic scuffle in the base, worked out in their favor.
Pretty much, though it looked a little bit messy. What I will say is I just like the aggression that 23 has better than what we saw from Reject. Control is cool, but it's just not really the game at the moment. I think once Shu was forced out of a position on 23's side, then it really just became aggro versus control, and you already know what's going to win. Tanks are going to beat control 100% of the time, especially when there are walls and terrain such as bushes to work with. You'll see Shu, though, still doing his best to shut down these aggressive brawlers. He's done it so far versus Bull on the left side. Love that interaction for Lily, and Battleman is winning the control matchup versus Gretel. He shouldn't be winning against this Buzz. Barely sidesteps the attack at close range. That was awesome right there, and bit of a misplaced shot there from Bull, and once again another whiffed hypercharge for Shu. Feels like Reject are sort of playing with their food. They just haven't won a game yet is all.
Yeah, I get that same feeling as well, honestly. I feel like Shu's playing with maybe 50% of the amount of effort that he usually puts into some of these. Just throwing out those supers kind of unnecessarily, going for 50-50s there, but it works out in their favor. Oh my god. All right, with 23 whiffing that Bull super, it's gonna allow for some positioning here to happen there. Now Battleman should be trying to leap over to that right side to stay alive here. Bull barely managing to get a little bit of damage left online, but after the dust settles, it's still a Reject countdown. Buzz is gonna try to get a takedown here to reset things, but it's too little, too late, too many gems in the pockets of Reject.
A few seconds to go for 23 to interrupt. They've managed to stun Shu, but is that really the target? Battleman just gracefully flutters up the left side. Don't mind me. I just have literally all the gems that we need to win the game. That is number 2 for Reject. It does not feel good to lose in that way. Where's the guy with the gems? Oh, I don't know. I guess just gracefully floating up the left lane without a care in the world.
He's like, bye.
Yeah, see you later.
And he's off screen, right? Like,
Exactly.
that's mental damage, honestly. And I have to say though, it really feels like this kind of a comp would only work if it was Reject. If any other team didn't execute to this level and really scooped up that many gems, it opens up timings, for those Buzz and Bull hyperchargers to come online. And that's really when Battleman, he's got one gadget too little to survive. Yes, you can jump away from one Bull charge, but if he cycles one or if the Buzz is waiting in the other side, that's the win condition for 23. So every gem that Reject gets is really timing that they need to get. And now the side lanes both break out into fights, and it's just looking like it's all going in Reject's favor.
Looking good so far for Reject. They have all the control in the world. They have all the gems on the proper player as well. Battleman's able to jump away. Just works out so far. But they have to be cautious. This is a war on two fronts at the moment. That's Buzz on the left side and Bull on the right. Battleman with the jump away. This would have been the perfect moment for Bull to go for him, but decided not to, and that has to be a misplay.
A difficult decision to make. It was split-second choice that, and he flicked towards Melty. I guess he recognized that even if he killed Battleman, his gems would have transferred over to somebody else. Nonetheless, though, now going to be going on to Melty. This is a good target for the Bull. Isolated, though, in the backline, going for Battleman. He wants to force out this gadget so that Gretel can come in and clean it up, but all the shots not connecting, and the backline, Shu eviscerates one. Now Melty with the other. The Morning Stars collapse. Gretel is starting to look silly there, popping the hypercharge after the super, mind you, and now it's all left to the Buzz, who actually connects with Shu, goes into the Shadow Realm, defuses all of the threats. 23, they're just way out of their depth.
Reject steal away set number 2 out of the clutches of 23. Much better than set number 1, I must say, though. But this one felt like Reject took an opportunity to play their own game. They kind of looked 23 up and down, sidestepped their opponent, and said, yeah, we can play control into this. And so they did. And so they achieved these stats as well. Battleman with just the optimal KD for a gem carrier, though those deaths that you see, those are really important ones for 23. Allowed them to steal those gems away for a game victory of their own, but that was the only real way of them getting these gems. Much better way for them to steal those gems at the last second would have been Lily, but it was ripped from their clutches by Reject, who picked it first.
I want to point out one more thing that's really interesting. Battleman's playing the Angelo, and he's usually the one on the Lily, on the sort of, playmaking type brawlers. But in this scenario, I think the team recognized in a sense that the Angelo pick here is the hardest brawler to play. Like, they picked a brawler that isn't, traditional by any stretch of imagination on Hard Rock Mine, and they have to really push the brawler to 100% to make it work. It has to be perfect. And so Battleman's like, Shu, you're on Lily duty. I got this. Lily is a brawler. I promise you it's not that hard to play. Go ham. And then Shu completely misses 3 hypercharges straight. But it's all good. And now they've been allowed kit. Wow.
Okay, yeah, just give it to them for free. Dude, if you're 23 right now, then what you should be banning out is all of the ridiculous OP stuff at the moment. Because okay. In my opinion, you will not be beating it at the moment. You won't be out drafting it, and you certainly won't be out mechanicking it when your opponent is Reject and you are 23 and you haven't made it to the stage in RCL. I'm just saying this is the tail of the tape. But Reject, with their kit, are going to be playing into a Miko and a Lu at the same time. And I feel like there are other good ways to deal with the Miko. One of them has been banned out already, but RT is just sitting there. Yeah, I have no idea why you wouldn't take this. Why you would play Miko and not pick up RT just feels like such a misplay for 23.
Oh man. Now, I have to be real. I don't know if RT still marks the safe anymore. Maybe someone
Okay.
can verify that for me. But even if it isn't the case, it's the hypercharge we got to talk about. And we got to talk about the fact that RT is the hardest counter to Miko on this map. And Hank is not gonna cut it. That's the defensive option that they've opted to go for. I guess they think it might be sufficient to deter the Melody, but this is a structure that you don't see very often in Pit Stop, where you draft 2 defense brawlers and then 1 Miko on offense. But this Miko is already heavily neutered by that RT, as you mentioned.
Once again, RT has always been the answer to Miko on any heist map ever. And now it's so much stronger. I just don't understand why 23 would not account for this. I don't also think that they know something that we don't. I feel like we really are seeing it all laid out for us in the draft phase right here. This is not like unwinnable, but it's about as close as you can get in a competitive setting for my money. I'm just a professional yapper. I'm an opinion haver. I'm not a pro player. And we all know that Caster shouldn't talk about the draft, so how about we talk about the gameplay instead? So far, it's looking good for 23 on offense, as they have gotten Miko in a position, but that's because RC has not had enough time to move in for an offense of their own yet.
And for some reason, Shu is on offense and defense. He's left his legs at home, and okay, he's gonna go home now to deal with that Miko. And the camera is gonna be staring at the middle of the screen because this is a typical heist problem. But once again now, the damage, sort of the Trojan horse here, so to speak, is gonna be this Melty Battleman combination here. The kid sitting on top to become a little bit of a thrower. That's a lot of damage that's going to be going onto that safe. And now with the Hank Hypercharge, though, that is a little bit of damage that's going to be hitting that safe, but not the ideal target here.
Noting the hypercharges and supers at the moment, Battleman has yet to get his. Melty got his hypercharge on the right side, so Battleman's going to have to go in for that initial stun so that Melty can get some utility out of his hypercharge. It's really how this is going to have to work. Melty closing in position, doesn't have a super yet, needs a couple of shots onto Hank to guarantee it. There's 1, needs 2, maybe he was 3 away. There it is. Battleman looked for the super, didn't get a stun off of it, but Melty knows it's a drive time nonetheless, trying to bait out this hypercharge from Gretel, who's also being pressure on the right side. There's a kill, but it's still a wasted hypercharge for Gretel, but it's a waste for Melty as well. So in the end, it's a net 0.
Shu's got a hypercharge. The meat blender is online. That's going to be something that 23 have to be really careful on. And dare I say it, even Hank has to be concerned about this. It's going to be popping the hypercharge just for a split second. But then back at home, the news has it that the last layer of shielding has already been torn apart. The Lu is trying to stop this Trojan horse, but fidget spinners and spinning and meat grinders and yarn balls will do the trick. The 23 safe is gone. One more game to go for Reject to qualify for 4 for 4 in the RCL.
Okay, can they do it? Well, I would put my money on yes for the time being. Let's see what 23 have to say this time. Because as... Oh, excuse me. I just put us into a match for Rival. who are either scrimming or doing something completely unrelated at the moment. Look, they both start with an R, and Terry's higher in trophies, so step up your game real quick, IC, so that you appear higher on my friends list than he does. You know what? There's a first time for everything here in the RCL, and in our 4th month of competition, that is the first time that that's happened, but I hope you got a kick out of it at least.
Oh yeah, I definitely did. Back on regularly scheduled programming, though, we've got 72% parity on both sides. Battleman's gonna break that symmetry, unfortunately, but this is unexpected. The first push from Reject is the one that actually hurts more, and okay, here we go. Fidget Spinner of Death is out from Shu. Massive damage done to the safe, and now at any time he can be communicated to his team to retreat. Might not even want to do so. No, he's gonna go home now. Now Battleman kind of misses the jump, just uses the hypercharge for the stat boost, but that's enough of a diversion to allow Melty to follow up here and put another fidget spinner on that safe.
Reject now looking to defend and then turn that into an offense. They get Miko taken down after just a couple of attacks. Now Gretel is the man to be taken down. Shu gets it done, and a response out from Hank. at least trades out a kill, but Reject have the position that they needed. Melty is in a risky situation. Battleman launches out a spawn, and Reject now look for their offense. Hypercharge out for Melty, does get caught up, and Gretel gets the kill with his third shot as well. Really close one as well, because typically Lou is not three-shotting brawlers. Batman's also sending it to the enemy side to keep up this pressure. They know that they're playing against the clock right now. A couple more shots out from Hank would do the trick, but Battleman has a super on the way, and he has a hypercharge to match with it. Aggression needs to be here now. 20 seconds. Just a couple of attacks from Miko will do it. Tries to defend against Melty. Not successful. 15 seconds to go. Reject with their backs against the wall for one final push.
I don't know if it's going to be enough. They've made a lot of mistakes here, but one thing that they can't be mistaken for is the amount of damage that this comp has built up. Yes, Melty kind of left bottom on out to hang there. Missing that hypercharge super could have been the most climactic way to end the game, but Melty had bigger priorities. He saw the Miko lurking up in the base and just decided to go for the defensive play instead. Reject sweep 23, 3-0. 23 only got one game throughout this entire series, but my word, Reject show why they're still #1 in East Asia.
Great draft from Reject, using some of the new, some of the old. 23 also tried to forge their own way, thinking, yeah, well, the Miko will out DPS the kit. And that it did. However, it was not able to match up against the RT and the Melody. I feel like the way that Reject played this felt a little bit random, like they picked good stuff that they knew would work here, and they kind of figured it out as they played. 23, I think, also knew that they wanted to pick up the Miko. There were some moments in there where I found myself thinking, like, okay, I also feel like that could have been played better. Like Miko going for attacks on the right lane towards the end. Was definitely like a planned decision, but it's one of those where like 2 Miko attacks could have eliminated the save. I wonder why he didn't just go ahead and go for it. It would have been a game victory. Would have gotten in the set, would have gotten in the match. A mystery that we will not have solved this month, because it is Reject moving full steam ahead into yet another finals.
That's right. They're going to be going up tomorrow in that grand final. We're gonna have a bracket really shortly to just recap the day really. But man, I mean, what was sort of the highlight for you today? Because in terms of picks, I think we got to see the full power of the RT, but I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest, that we didn't get to see 30 supers come out from Kit. That's what I was promised. Hey, where was that?
Scammed. Honestly, I'm like filing a complaint against anyone who picked Kit today. Unfortunately, you'll be hearing from my attorney. But highlight of the day for me, you say like RT didn't really provide us what we were hoping for. Look, I cherish those rare moments where we saw it do something. Not here in this last set, but earlier on in the day when we saw it played on Hot Potato. Memory is not helping me out here in who is playing it, but the eventual victor has played it, and both times RT hypercharged, it was a team wipe. It felt like there was just nothing that could be done in response.
Yeah, we got to see a little snippet of Will It Blend, kind of throwback. Not sure how many of you guys even know where that reference is from. Let us know if you're old enough to actually know where that came from. But yeah, it's old. I don't know. Like that's what I grew up with. I don't know about you, but hey.
You know what? Will It Blend is fire. You know what? I liked, Is It a Good Idea to Microwave This? You know that series? They would throw stuff in a microwave and just like see what happened. That's the kind of stuff that you shouldn't be doing at home, but like it's simple enough you want to see people do it online. Enough yapping from us, everyone. Let's see how today turned out. Spoo, we already covered the first half of the day, but walk us through everything that happened over the course of the day.
All right, so in first match, we had Momotaro going up against Effort Result. Then they didn't get the result that they wanted. Our open qualifier seed #1 managed to dethrone Effort Result and steal their position there as now the King of the Hill. Unfortunately, though, because it's the final season, no perks for them. They're just qualified for tomorrow and a chance to get points. Second match, Na'Vi versus Not Yet, a 3-0 sweep. Really, really swift one from Na'Vi. Just stellar drafting from them, and Not Yet just couldn't pull it together. Some suspect Crow gameplay we saw in that set. Go watch back the VOD. You want to know what I mean. And yeah, I kind of, kind of pooped on their draft a little bit here and there, but really, that was really what it was spelling out for me. Then Gen G versus Rival Esports. That's the one that we've got to create some clips from for sure, because that had so many back and forths. And I think Rival Esports, they fell from grace today, and they'll be yielding their spot to Gen G Esports. Finally, though, we've got Reject going up against 23. The match that you guys just saw. No need for a recap there. Man, that was clinical. Reject, they didn't even have to draft perfectly. The bracket will be completely seeded based on their leaderboard
you
scores.
heard it all. You have the lead up for tomorrow, and I don't think there's anything else that we can really spell out for you, except to return tomorrow at 7 p.m. JST, same time, same place on Twitch or on YouTube. You know where to find us. Ready, set. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for the finals. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you then.
Make a life for myself. 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 Make a life for myself.